Hello, everybody, and welcome into TD Ameritrade Park in Omaha, Nebraska for Day 3 WCBN sports coverage of Michigan baseball at the Big Ten Tournament. I'm Austin Falco alongside Nick Hornberg, bringing you an elimination game between the Maryland Terrapins and the Michigan Wolverines. And Nick, really a tale of 2 days for the Wolverines here at TD Ameritrade Park, losing on Wednesday and winning yesterday in dramatic fashion.
Yeah, the doom and gloom setting in Wednesday after a performance that could best be described as anemic on the offensive end, a 2-1 loss to Ohio State. Carl Coffin, the unluckiest man in the stadium that day, giving up 2 runs over 8 innings and getting tagged with the loss. But rebounding yesterday, 6 innings, it looked like it was going to be more of the same after the first 2/3 of the game against Illinois. And then, right then, Michigan's players came through and delivered and did what they needed to do, with the walk-off win late in the 9th inning, followed by a 2 RBI walk-off double by Jordan Wogu. And now Michigan standing with a little bit of momentum, even high spirits yesterday, even in the press conference. Head coach Eric Bakich, normally pretty reserved character, a bit more animated, a bit more cheery. And now we stand here, another elimination game, of course, with the loss to Ohio State. Michigan now do or die. Maryland also coming off a loss to Ohio State, first last night, and before getting postponed by rain, had to finish that game this morning. But now 2 teams playing, and just like yesterday, it is still the fight to survive. But Michigan, no doubt, in a much better position mentally than they were going into yesterday morning.
Michigan's lineup, they are the away team today, is as follows. We start off with the hero in yesterday's ballgame, Jordan Wogu, the DH, making his way up to the dish right now. After him, the center fielder, Jesse Franklin, bats second. Jordan Brewer, the right fielder, is in the 3-hole. Batting cleanup, playing shortstop, is Jack Blomgren. Jimmy Kerr plays first base and bats fifth. Batting sixth, the left fielder, Miles Lewis. The catcher, Joe Donovan, bats seventh. Blake Nelson, the third baseman, is in the 8th spot. And rounding out the lineup in the 9-hole is second baseman Akeo Thomas. They'll go against junior left-hander from Maryland, Tyler Blom, coming in with a 4.91 ERA in 5 games this season. Just 14 and 2/3 innings. First pitch he throws to Jordan Wogu, misses high for ball 1, and we are underway here on day 3.
And really, the difference so far for Michigan's offense so far in this tournament versus the rest of the season is that a lot of time early on, their best hitters haven't really been hitting.
Jordan Wogu maybe with a better chance to hit here as the second pitch also misses high. It is 2-0 on the Wolverine leadoff hitter. We mentioned Jordan Wogu started off slow in each of the first 2 games in this tournament for Michigan. 2-0 pitch to him now. Swinging and fouling it straight back to the screen was Wogu. It's 2-1.
And Jordan Wogu having a rough tournament so far before that walk-off hit yesterday morning against the Fighting Illini, but really it's been the top 4 in the order. Jesse Franklin, Jordan Brewer, and Jack Blomgren among them, who really have just not been getting it done, and Michigan's offense has suffered accordingly.
2-1 pitch bounces in the dirt. Now it's 3-1 on Wogu. And something we talked about a little pregame here, Maryland going with Blom, who's made just 5 starts this season. Pitched just 14 and 2/3 innings, struck out 13 on the season, 9 walks. Batters hitting .222 against him. 3-1 pitch is high, ball 4. Leadoff walk for Michigan. They got the leadoff runner on. Earliest they've had a runner on these first 3 ball games.
Well, Michigan, the importance of getting past yesterday could not be overstated, especially because now Michigan can use their pitching depth. Michigan can truly go 3 deep in starting pitching. A lot of teams cannot, and Maryland, having to play 1 game over the course of 2 days, their pitching staff is going to be severely depleted.
Jesse Franklin coming up to the dish, batting second for the Wolverines today, this time with a runner on first base. Maryland double play depth up the middle, lefty to lefty. Blum comes set, pitch to Franklin, breaking ball on the inside corner for a strike. It's 0-1.
And weather conditions not exactly favorable to Jesse Franklin once again today. Really, he was affected definitely on Wednesday by the wind blowing from right to left and to a certain degree back in his face. Power hitter out to right field, the ball absolutely dying, and even head coach Eric Bakich said so himself in the press conference. Michigan has a lot of power to right field between Franklin, Jordan Brewer going the opposite way, Jimmy Kerr, another lefty with pop in his bat, and those bats have been effectively silenced by the wind.
After keeping Wogu close, the 0-1 pitch, another breaking ball to Franklin. That one's also a strike, this time on the outside corner. It's 0-2 on the 2-hitter for Michigan. Franklin coming into this ball game with a .246 average, the lowest in the starting lineup for Michigan, although the on-base percentage all the way up at .387. Has a good eye up there. He grounds one towards the left side and gets past the diving A.J. Lee into left field for a base hit. Michigan not waiting till the fifth inning to get their first hit, as they did over the first couple games. They get one here in the first. They're in business with the first 2 runners on to start this ball game.
Well, it could very well be a situation. Michigan more than capable of stringing a bunch of hits together. Could be a case of it's not uncommon to see. Not uncommon to see a basketball player over the course of the game takes many shots on a cold streak, or even a soccer player or a hockey player over an extended course of the season. To see, if they're in a cold streak, all you need to see is one go in, one bucket or one goal or one 3-point shot, and then after that, it's out of your head, and then it's free range from there.
Big Ten Player of the Year, Jordan Brewer, steps to the plate with 2 runners on. As there's already a pitcher warming up in the bullpen, Brewer bunts towards third base, fielded over there by Wright. He throws to first in time to get Jordan Brewer, but a sac bunt moves 2 men up into scoring position for Michigan with just 1 out here in the first inning.
Do we have an opinion from the anti-bunt club?
First inning, not a big fan, I'll be honest with you here.
Well, I will defend it. Jordan Brewer has not been seeing the ball well all tournament long. He's arguably been the weak link in Michigan's lineup since the tournament started, and now here get him a chance to look at the ball, and really he's been striking out all tournament long. Just give him an opportunity, put a ball down, put 2 runners in scoring position with 1 out. You got 2 good hitters behind him, and Jack Blomgren and Jimmy Kerr.
Jack Blomgren at the plate right now. First pitch to him is bouncing the dirt, gets past the catcher. Wogu's going to come in and score. Michigan leads 1-0 here in the first inning.
And that's refreshing to see after first was 15 innings of ice-cold baseball on Wednesday and Thursday, followed by an encouraging 7th, 8th, and 9th inning from the Michigan offense. You see Michigan striking early on in the first inning, taking advantage of a miscue, and Jordan Wogu, no doubt flying high. We saw him in the press conference playfully checking the microphones after the game yesterday. He probably feels like $1 million, even more so now.
Franklin moved up to third on the plate as well. It's a 1-0 count on Blomgren. He grounds one towards short. This is going to score a run as well as Leaf Fields throws to first in time, but Michigan now leads by a score of 2-0 here in the first, and this offense appears to have woken up for the Wolverines.
And both those players, Jordan Brewer and Jack Blomgren, be able to hold their head high. Did they reach base? No, but I know you're not a fan of the term productive outs, but those are productive outs right there. Moving 2 runners into third, putting Jordan Wogu in a position to take advantage of the miscue on defense from Jordan Brewer, and then Jack Blomgren able to induce soft ground out deep in the gap, sacrificing himself to move Franklin across the plate.
First pitch here to Jimmy Kerr, the first baseman for Michigan, is inside, ball 1. There's already some action out in the pen for the Maryland Terrapins. Elliot Zollner is the man out there throwing just in the first inning here. Breaking ball on 1-0 is on the outside corner. It's 1-1.
And Jimmy Kerr, a player who all tournament long, he hasn't really contributed all that much, but he has impressed us. He made a couple fantastic plays on defense on Wednesday.
1-1 pitch, breaking ball, looked like again missed down and in, and now it's 2-1, and really just not being able to find the zone is Blom, and when he does, Michigan's putting it in play. Blom through this inning. This will be pitch number 15. Kerr grounds it towards first to be fielded over there by the first baseman, Costas. He takes it to the bag himself for out number 3. But Michigan in that inning, 1 run on 1 hit. No errors, no one left on base. Rather, 2 runs on 1 hit. No errors, no one left on base. They're headed to the bottom of the first inning. Michigan leads Maryland by a score of 2-0 on the official student radio broadcast of Michigan baseball here on WCBN Sports.
And that was exactly what you needed as an inning if you're Michigan. Get the offense going and give your starter, Tommy Henry, some confidence. And going back to Jimmy Kerr had made 2 excellent plays in defense on Wednesday, and Jimmy Kerr has endured a fair amount of criticism for his defensive play this season, but an excellent move, turning a 3-6-3 double play on Wednesday, as well as an excellent pick on first base that went to review and was upheld. And Jimmy Kerr also impressing us with a swim move at third base, sliding in. Ultimately, it didn't really amount to much, but either way, the senior first baseman from Scottsdale putting his hands at his ears to signal for the review, and Eric Bakich listened to his veteran player and called for the review and got it overturned. He was put on third base, and Jimmy Kerr Kerr followed that up with 2 hits yesterday. Really has a great way to close a long-serving, not always, he did not play in a regular starting role until this season, but good way to end the career of the Michigan legacy.
Of course, Kerr and the other Michigan seniors hoping they have a few more games left in them, trying to make the NCAA tournament. Yesterday's win against Illinois went a long ways. They're looking to get another win here to impress the committee. They're going to have to face a lineup for Maryland that is as follows. A.J. Lee is the shortstop and bats first. Randy Bednar, the right fielder, bats second. Taylor Wright, the third baseman in the 3-hole. Maxwell Costas bats clean up the first baseman. Left fielder Michael Pinero bats fifth. Justin Vogt is the catcher. He bats sixth. Batting seventh, the designated hitter Josh McGuire. Benjamin Cowles is the second baseman. He bats eighth. And rounding out the lineup in center field is Chris Allen. On the mound for Michigan today, their number one coming into the season, Tommy Henry, left-handed throwing junior, made 14 starts on the year, one appearance in relief back just a couple days ago. He's got a 3.65 ERA, 8-5 record. He struck out 97, walked just 22 in 86 and 1/3 innings this season. Lefty to righty to start things off. First pitch from Henry to Lee, misses high for ball one.
And Tommy Henry's about as bizarre a season as you can see. He's arguably arguably a top 5 pitcher in the country through about the end of March, but really he's endured a rough month and a half as a starter, getting demoted from the Friday spot.
Ground ball here by Lee towards short. Blomgren makes the play behind second base, makes a nice pick and throws over to first in time for out number one in the bottom of the first inning.
And that's really one thing that has set Michigan's performances apart, and really what's kept them in these games is strong defensive play. Michigan's infield defense has come under a lot of deserved criticism for not coming through, particularly in the last 2 weeks, 2-week series that ultimately lost them the Big Ten regular season title, a couple 5-error games against Indiana and Nebraska. But really, they've come on very strong this series, particularly in the infield. Blomgren, Akeo Thomas, Jimmy Kerr, and Blake Nelson all absolutely showing out to play.
Striding up to the plate, Randy Bednar, the right fielder for Maryland. First pitch to him is a fastball, misses low, ball one. Really, the top 4 in this Terrapin lineup are to be feared when looking at the numbers here in the average and home run departments. Afterwards, you do get a little bit of a break if Henry can consistently get through the top of the lineup. Really, was top lineup really was the only part of the lineup to do any damage against Michigan when they swept the Terrapins in College Park earlier this season. 1-0 pitch is in there for a strike on the inside corner. It's 1-1. Bednar on the season, 289 batting average. Gets on base at a 361 clip, has 11 home runs, good for second on the team, but does have 2 triples and 19 doubles as well. Leads the team in RBIs with 53. He swings and fouls one back off of Joe Donovan's glove, and now the count is 1-2.
And looking at it, it looks like Henry is establishing his location early on, trying to jam these Maryland hitters up and inside.
So far, against the first 2 righties, he's been pounding the ball in or around in that direction. If he misses, he is missing inside. See what he tries to go to here on 1-2 against Bednar. Henry gets his sign, takes a breath, works from the first base side of the rubber. 1-2 pitch. Breaking ball hits Bednar in the knee. He'll get his base on the hit by pitch. A critical 1-2 pitch error there by Tommy Henry, and Maryland has their first base runner on here in the bottom of the first with just 1 out.
And that's the risk you take when you try and attack hitters inside, and that's something that Tommy Henry did both to A.J. Lee and Randy Bednar, the right-handed hitters against left-handed pitchers, trying to come all the way across, get him inside, and there you saw the risk. He got a little bit too cute and allowed Maryland their first base runner.
That'll bring up the first lefty in the lineup for Maryland today, Taylor Wright. They've got 3 lefties altogether, a switch hitter in there as well. Wright is the 3 hitter, the third baseman. He swings and misses at the first pitch he sees from Henry and comes up empty for strike number 1.
And Henry pitched in the 9th inning on Wednesday in relief of Carl Kaufman, as that was, as head coach Eric Bakich said later, that was Tommy Henry is already scheduled for a bullpen day. So at that point, Coach Bakich figured send him out, get him some live fire, and ultimately pitched a scoreless 9th inning.
Henry comes set, stares down the runner Bednar at first, who is a threat to steal. The 0-1 pitch missed just low, and the count is even up at 1-1.
Maryland, a lot of speed in their top third of their lineup. All 3 players, A.J. Lee, Randy Bednar, Taylor Wright, double-digit steals. Randy Bednar leading in stolen base attempts in 15 and converted 12 successfully.
He's got a decent lead over at first. Kerr holding him on. Not going here is the pitch to Bednar, or rather to Wright at the plate, is foul tipped into the glove of Donovan. So Bednar, who was going on delayed steal after the ball got away, has to go back to first base. The count is 1-2 on Wright. Once the ball trickled away from Donovan, Bednar started to take off. Thought he read it well, but turns out it was tipped at the plate by Wright. And so it'll just be 1-2 count, runner on first still in this bottom of the first inning. Michigan leads Maryland by a score of 2-0 here early on. Henry comes set. Takes his time, just waiting, and now fires 1-2 pitch, fouled back to the screen, still 1-2. I mentioned Henry was pounding the right-handers, Lee and Bednar, inside against the lefty here, Wright. Switching up sides of the plate, but ultimately trying to stay low, it looks like, is the plan for Henry. Against the big 6'3" senior for Maryland. 1-2 pitch again, breaking ball, check swing, appealed on the third, did not go around, says third base umpire Dave Condon. And the count is 2-2.
Yeah, Donovan signaling the appeal there, and home plate umpire Eric Lovelace obliging the appeal over to Dave Condon, and ultimately that was the right call.
And so 2-2 is the count. The third baseman for the Maryland Terrapins, batting .295 on the season. 4 home runs, 32 RBIs. He grounds one towards the right side. Akeo Thomas is going to field. Does he have time to go to second? No, he does not, so he tosses over to first to retire the runner right for out number 2.
And that's the right decision by Akeo Thomas. Bednar some speed, tearing down the first base line. Akeo Thomas very improbable he was able to get A.J. Lee over at second base. He takes the turn. A.J. Lee gets a great jump, and ultimately Thomas making the right decision, moving back over to first base.
So runner on second now is Bednar. He's got speed. If Costas can find a hole here on the Michigan infield, or deposit one into the outfield. Costas, the lone source of offense for Maryland in that matchup against Ohio State. Home run into the left field bullpen. That was his 14th of the season, leads the Terps, does the freshman. He takes the first pitch fastball high and away from Henry to bring the count to 1-0.
And Costas, dangerous player, as you said, contributing the 2-run shot against Ohio State last night. That was the only offense of the game, and at that moment, that was the game-tying home run.
Freshman of Baltimore, Maryland, steps in there on the right side against the left-handed throwing Tommy Henry. Bednar being held on by Akeo Thomas at second, and a swing and a miss here at Henry's offering on 1-0. Breaks the count 1-1. Overall on the season, we said the 14th home run for Maxwell Costas. Has driven in 48 overall. Hits .262, but a on-base percentage of .395. Very similar to Jesse Franklin in terms of those batting average to on-base percentage splits. 1-1 pitch to Costas is hit high in the air towards right field. Jordan Brewer is going back near the track. He twists himself around and makes the grab, backpedaling onto the warning track in deep right field for out number 3. So Maryland does not score that inning on no hits, no errors by the Wolverines, and 1 man left on base for the Terrapins. We'll head to inning number 2. Michigan leads Maryland by a score of 2-0 here on the official student radio broadcast of Michigan Baseball. You're listening to WCBN Sports. And we thank you for tuning in to today's ball game and our action all Big Ten tournament long. Unfortunately, we weren't able to carry yesterday's ball game for you due to some technical difficulties on our YouTube streaming. But we are back today. The baseball gods have been kind to us, both in terms of letting us call this ball game and letting us be here at TD Ameritrade Park on an absolutely gorgeous day at the ballpark.
And Michigan head coach Eric Back is probably looking at that warning track shot by Costas, cleanly handled by Jordan Brewer, probably breathing a massive sigh of relief for 2 reasons. Number 1, it didn't go out of the ballpark. 2, it went a long way. And with Michigan, as stated previously, has a lot of power to right field. And, of course, the big worry was it's going to be like Wednesday, a potential graveyard out in right field, the ball hanging up and just getting knocked down by the wind. But with Costas, who was a right-handed hitter, opposite field shot all the way out to the warning track, if you're Eric Bakich, you look at that and you say, all right, my hitters can do that. My hitters can hit this out of the park. And he has every right to feel pretty good.
Most of those guys we talked about hitting the ball out of the park have already batted in this ball game in that first inning. We talked a little bit off air, Nick and I did, about Michigan's right field power primarily lying in the hands of 3 guys, Jesse Franklin, Jimmy Kerr, and Jordan Wogu. The first 2 lefties that can pull the ball out of the ballpark. Jordan Wogu with a ton of opposite field power. In fact, against Ohio State back on Wednesday, we thought he had a grand slam off the bat into right center field, and that ball just ended up dying in the power alley out there to right center because of that wind blowing in. We do have that wind blowing in here, approximately on the south-southwest. I think they said 11 miles an hour, but ultimately, probably nice to have that breeze down in the stands. It's 77 degrees here and sunny in Omaha after a cloudy morning. It really just opened up a few hours ago. And it's been absolutely gorgeous since then. Miles Lewis leads off things for the Wolverines, the sixth hitter, the left fielder for Michigan. Still in the game is the left-hander Tyler Blom. Fires the first pitch low. It's 1-0 on the Michigan redshirt senior. Lewis on the season, .271 batting average. Has himself 4 home runs, 30 RBIs for the Wolverines. Crouches down that right-handed batter's box. The 1-0 pitch to him, fastball called, strike one.
And Miles Lewis, in his last season at Ray Fisher Stadium, not having a bad season. .271, 4 homers, not a whole lot there. However, he is getting on base 365 on base percentage, 9 for 14 stolen bases.
1-1 pitch to him. Misses high and outside for ball 2. She's at .372 on base percentage there for Miles Lewis this season.
And Lewis has also come under a lot of fire, mostly from you, about his base running.
I wouldn't say fire. I just mentioned how sometimes he's very definitive. When he makes his mind up that he's going to be stealing a base or running, he goes for it. It actually worked out in Michigan's favor in yesterday's ballgame as he takes a 2-1 pitch low and inside and brings the count to 3-1. There was a play in yesterday's ballgame in the 9th inning in which Lewis was on second base. He sprinted towards third on a ground ball back to the pitcher. The pitcher for the Fighting Illini, Acton, opted not to throw Lewis out after Lewis was just booking it down to third base. And now Lewis will take his time jogging down to first base. He takes ball 4 low and away. And for the second straight inning, Michigan has leadoff runner on a walk.
And now Eric Bakich has some options. Miles Lewis emerged throughout the season as a fairly decent secondary steal threat, 9 for 14 stolen bases on the season. As now it looks like there's going to be another mound meeting. As is there about to be a call to the bullpen?
I believe there is.
Yes,
If
there
I'm
is.
not mistaken, that is head coach Rob Vaughn slowly making his way out to the mound. The pitcher warming up out in the bullpen was Elliot Zollner. He seems to have left the mound and come near the door, and yep, there goes Blom. Walking back to the dugout. Short start for him today. That seemed to be his role, though, for the Terrapins. He has started 5 games, but only 14 innings pitched, or rather 14 2/3 coming into this one. This will be a 6th start. He's thrown a total of 15 2/3 innings now. But that is the end of the line for the junior left-hander. That's kind of the detriment of playing 2 games on one day for Maryland, or rather 3 days. 3 games in 3 days when you don't have a third starter like the Michigan does in Tommy Henry.
And Maryland, and as you said, with the way it looked, with the way how quickly the call was made, it looks very much like it was a planned thing. Able to have another pitcher just start out, and then you bring in another pitcher, see if he can stay in there a longer period of time. Elliot Zollner, first inning out of the way. See if Zollner, actually not too dissimilar to the way Nick Lackney was used in a game yesterday for Minnesota, I believe it was. He came in as a reliever and threw 5 or 6 innings.
Yeah, Minnesota in that game against Indiana just barely staying alive. Elliot Zollner will be looking to do the same thing for Maryland and keep them in this ball game. On the season, Zollner's appeared in 7 games. He is 0-2 with an 8.83 ERA. Pitched 17 1/3 innings, struck out 27, so he's got some strikeout stuff, but he has walked over a batter an inning, 18 walks in those 17 1/3 innings. Batters hit just 167 against him, but as previously mentioned, the control can be an issue with Zollner. Maryland and the Terps certainly hope his control is on point today against a lineup for Michigan that, if they finally figured things out here in Omaha, is a very, very dangerous lineup to face.
Yeah, Michigan starting from the last weekend series of the regular season in Lincoln against Nebraska, Michigan just hasn't really figured it out in the state of Nebraska. We'll have Nebraska native Daniel Thompson on here to talk about what goes into the Wolverines struggling once they enter this state.
Yeah, we need some in-depth analysis of what exactly could be giving Wolverines trouble. And I don't want it from like a human perspective. I want you to tell me what happens when Wolverines enter the state of Nebraska, the animal. We'll be looking forward to that in a few innings, though. Gives you a little teaser to stay aboard here at WCBN Sports coverage of Michigan baseball. Is it the 2-0 Michigan lead wasn't enough to keep you listening? Or the dulcet sounds of Queen over the loudspeakers, meaning Joe Donovan makes his way up to the plate as the first batter Elliot Zollner faces. And the first pitch is a low and outside, ball 1.
And Joe Donovan's been pretty streaky hitter in this season. The sophomore catcher now standing at 257 on the season. Donovan had a fairly hot stretch in the season, including a couple timely late game home runs.
He squares on a bunt here and pulls back ball, almost hits him. For a moment there, the catcher doesn't know where it is, but it's right next to him, so Lewis does not take second base. The count is 2-0 on Donovan, though. You mentioned Donovan. You had that hot streak with a few weeks to go in the season, but has since cooled off. Maybe the reasoning for head coach Eric Bakich having him square around there to bunt, or really Joe Donovan's already beat out a sacrifice bunt just a couple weekends ago against Indiana. Almost did so yesterday, put one that just scooted foul on the first base line. Might have been trying to do it again there. 2-0 pitch to him, misses low and inside, and it's 3-0 now. Zollner doesn't seem to have it against Donovan to start things off.
And this is a big one. Joe Donovan, if he's able to draw the walk, he's now standing at 3-0. The chances are pretty good. You have runners on first and second. Blake Nelson behind him, hitting over 300 on the season.
Zollner comes set, righty to righty, 3-0 pitch. Fastball outside, ball 4. 4 pitches and a walk to Joe Donovan puts runners on first and second. Nobody out here in the second inning for Blake Nelson, and I believe that might be Maryland head coach Rob Vaughn out to the mound again. If not him, that's pitching coach Corey Mascara, but I think that's Rob Vaughn.
It's hard to say. Looking over at the bullpen, I don't think that's Rob Vaughn for the reason of I don't see a Maryland bullpen arm standing right in the door.
There isn't any Maryland bullpen guys throwing at all either. They do it like the animals at the zoo that we just visited today, Henry Dorley Zoo and Aquarium here in Omaha, Nebraska. A couple of them laying out in the sun. A couple of them walking around playing with some of the toys out there. And of course, they're behind the cage of the bullpen. If I didn't know any better, you could mistake it for an exhibit here at TD Ameritrade Park.
And now, as Eric Lovelace, the home plate umpire, moving out just to break it up, Maryland is not going to make a call to the bullpen, but really now Michigan moving into, you could argue, what has been what's the most dangerous part of the lineup yesterday. Blake Nelson hitting 309 on the season, really kind of been under the radar as a hitter, but he's consistently stayed above 300 all year. And below him, Akeo Thomas, senior, had a rough first half of the season, but since the calendar turned to the month of April, Akeo has been red hot, including coming up big yesterday for his team once again. A 2 RBI double, tying up the game at 3 in the 7th. And then when they fell behind again, drawing a walk to put Christian Bullock on base, that ultimately was the winning run.
Maryland does have another arm up in the bullpen right now as Zollner fires our first pitch to Blake Nelson outside, ball 1. He's come in and fired 5 straight balls, has the reliever Elliot Zollner now. Didn't catch the number on the Maryland pitcher warming up. We'll see if we can get that to you in a bit. Coming set is Zollner now, and Nelson hits one into right field. Going back now, coming in is the right fielder Bednar. Tagging at second is Lewis. Will he give it a shot? He will not, as Bednar makes a strong throw towards third base, cut off by A.J. Lee. First out of the inning here, made by Blake Nelson.
Fantastic throw by Randy Bednar, and good call on Miles Lewis holding up. And now Akeo Thomas will step to the plate.
Akeo Thomas, one of the 2 biggest hits in the ballgame yesterday, maybe the biggest hit aside from that game winner, obviously. I don't think there's any doubt the biggest hit of the season aside from that game winner. 2 RBI double to tie the ball game back in the 7th inning yesterday. Put it right down the left field line after he was given second life by an overturned double play ball. First pitch to Akeo Thomas, the fastball called, strike 1.
And head coach Eric Bakich, after the game yesterday, could not heap enough praise on his senior second baseman, Akeo Thomas, for his performance and really what he's done all season as an important guy in the locker room, a team captain in every sense of the word.
Yeah, we will have a little bit of an interview also from Akeo Thomas and Jordan Rogu after yesterday's ballgame at some point between innings today. As Akeo Thomas takes strike 2 with what looks like a breaking ball there. 0-2 the count now on the diminutive Wolverine second baseman. Thomas, we mentioned not having his strongest season in Wolverine uniform, but always seems to come through in the biggest moments. We talked to him and head coach Eric Bakich about that yesterday, and really hard to deny when he comes up with such a big hit as he did in yesterday's ballgame. 0-2 pitch to him here, swing and a miss, and a really good breaking ball there from Zollner. You see why our strikeout numbers are so high, and there's now 2 outs in the inning. Michigan will cycle back up to the top of the lineup. Maryland looking to strand runners on first and second after they got in that jam with nobody out. Jordan Wogu makes his way to the dish for the second time today. Walked on 5 pitches against the starter, Blom. Didn't have to take the bat off his shoulder, but he did swing and foul one off. First pitch of this at-bat is a breaking ball. Misses inside, moves his hands out of the way, does the Wolverine designated hitter. The count is 1-0 on him. We talked about Wogu's rough start, but he absolutely drilled that ball to left center field yesterday to send Michigan home with the walk-off win. It was little doubt that Christian Bullock was going to be able to score from first on that one, as the 1-0 pitch is on the outside corner for a strike, 1-1.
And Jordan Wogu, no doubt a special player for this program. Now, at the end of his sophomore campaign in Ann Arbor, and a local Ann Arbor kid himself, 2 seasons of hitting over .330, as well as 2 seasons with double-digit steals.
Has those hands low in that right-handed batter's box. 1-1 pitch to him, misses, low and inside, ball 2. 2-1 the count for the first team All Big Ten honoree Jordan Wogu.
And you see Zollner trying to pound Wogu inside. And something that you and I have mentioned off air is that Jordan Wogu stands so far over the plate. A lot of times when he'll try and check a swing, he ends up fouling off the hilt of the bat.
He did do that yesterday right before he hit that 2-run double. Thought he was maybe in for a disaster. Has a slow breaking ball there on 2-1. It misses high. It's 3-1. Wogu in good position here to hit or potentially walk and load the bases for Jesse Franklin. Righty to righty. Zollner to Wogu. The runners on base, Lewis on second, Joe Donovan over on first. Zollner has to reset here as he steps back off the mound. Zollner stares into his catcher, vote for the sign, now comes set at the belt. A little bit of a closed stance and fires a 3-1 pitch. It's hit in the air to the right side. That one's going to tail out of play, though. And we will run the count full. 3-2 is the count.
And that one had the distance there. Wednesday, it's hard to overstate the effect of the wind on Wednesday. And on Wednesday, no balls even hooking over to the right. None of that was even happening. They weren't even making it. And Wogu able to put some distance on there. I know he ultimately sliced it away in foul territory, but ultimately, it's clear Michigan may be able to hit the ball a long way out to right.
3-2 pitch fouled back to the screen by Wogu. Runners are moving, of course, on 3-2, 2 outs, but the count will remain 3-2 as they retreat back to their bases. Ball in the gap here should score 2 with the runners on the move.
And Wogu staying alive, and that's big. And really, the move here at this point, with the way Maryland has had to work early on in this tournament, and the way their pitching staff is clearly a bit depleted. They're going. If Michigan can chase Maryland pitchers out of the game, it could be a very long afternoon for the Maryland pitching staff.
Zollner's going to have to step off again here before coming with another 3-2-2 Wogu. Now he steps in, gets his sign from Vogt. No one holding Lewis on at second or Donovan at first. They're free to roam and head off on the pitch. There they go. As it is grounded towards second base. Over there is the second baseman, Cowles. He'll field, throw to first in time for the out here. So Maryland escapes the jam. Michigan does not score there on no hits. No errors. 2 left on base for the Wolverines that inning. We'll head to the bottom of the second. Michigan leads Maryland by a score of 2-0 here on WCBN Sports coverage of Michigan baseball, the official student radio broadcast of Michigan baseball. And let's take a listen into yesterday. We talked with Akeo Thomas and Jordan Wogu about yesterday's ball game and their season in general.
Start here. We kind of touched about it in the press conference there, but it always seems like in the big moment you're the one at the plate, Akeo. And head coach Eric Bakich talked about, specifically yesterday, said he wanted you up in the big moment yesterday, and it came to be today. Walk us through kind of that at bat and what you're kind of thinking as it went on and before you lined that ball down the line.
That was definitely a senior moment, a leadership moment there, and I was happy to be up at that time. Dom, ground ball to short, could have been down on himself, but hustle and beat that ball out. The video review turned the call around, and I knew from there that was just a little bit of hope, and I was just going to do whatever I can to get on base.
Okay. And then later on in the ball game, working that walk in the 9th inning there, down to the final strike, fouled the ball off. Really tough pitch there. Looked like he might have walked at one point also. What was kind of going through your head there on that last at-bat as well? It was a very similar kind of thought process.
Just get it to the next guy. Get it to JG, who's been strong for us all year. I knew he's going to come up big in that moment. I just had to get on base somehow, some way, and I did that.
And then, Jordan, we kind of touched about it in there, yeah. Rougher tournament for you so far, but you're going to take it pitch by pitch, at-bat by at-bat. Not quite seen the ball well. It looked like early on in games, but I think both games you kind of improved as it goes along. Is there any sort of just seeing the ball better as it goes along, or is it just kind of a knack?
At first, my timing was off. It was kind of just brain farts, I guess. So I was I was paying specific attention to make sure I'm timing them up as best as I can in the at-bat circle and being on time. That was just throughout the game. That's all I was trying to do.
And we are back here at TD Ameritrade Park. You heard from the two heroes for the Wolverines yesterday. Today it's Michael Pinheiro stepping in and leading off the second inning with a foul ball back to the screen against Tommy Henry. The count 0-1 on the left fielder for Maryland.
And Michigan taking their time with these innings, of course, in the first, scoring 2 runs in the second one. While they never scored, they did threaten and prolong their time at the plate, and that's big. It gives your starter Tommy Henry, who perhaps at this part in the season maybe needs a little bit of help, and able to give him some time to rest between innings, talk it over with his coaches, and altogether get settled into a game.
Michael Pinheiro fouls one off to the left side. It gets just a little bit too far for Blake Nelson as it bounces off the turf over there on the left side. Nelson really no shot at running that down against the left-handed hitting Pinheiro. Michigan does have a bit of a shift on, specifically on that left side with Blomgren playing near the second base bag and Nelson way off the line. But now Henry with this lefty-lefty matchup has the advantage 0-2. Takes a breath here, gets his sign from Donovan behind the plate. Wide open stance here for Pinheiro, the 0-2 pitch. Fastball misses high and away, ball 1. Pinheiro on the season, a .244 hitter for the sophomore left fielder. Not a whole lot of power, just 8 extra base hits on the year out of his 33 that he has recorded a hit on. But looking to stay alive here, 1-2 pitch. Hits it in the air towards left field. Miles Lewis takes a couple steps back but camps under it. And the Omaha sun makes the grab for out number 1.
Yeah, the Omaha sun is right. This is the sunniest it's been since we've been down here, of course. Yesterday there was a fair bit of inclement weather, especially late in the day. And even on Wednesday, there wasn't a lot of sun.
Yeah, yesterday, of course, the rainouts later on in the day. But all day long, it was cloudy, and it looked like we were going to start off that way today with cloud cover for most of the morning. Right around noon, it seemed to open up, and we've had nothing but sunny skies since. And you can see the clouds off in the distance over, making their way to Iowa. As Justin Vogt, the catcher, takes the first pitch, fastball high for ball 1. Meanwhile, over TD Ameritrade Park, nothing but blue. A great setting for some college baseball here. Big Ten tournament as we enter the weekend. Henry takes a breath, comes set, and now a 1-0 pitch to Vogt. Fastball called, strike 1.
And the first pitch strike always important, especially a strikeout-based pitcher like Tommy Henry has yet to record a strikeout today.
1-1 count here on Vogt, who's hitting .225 this season. He's probably the main threat outside of the top 4 in this Maryland lineup. 10 home runs on the year for him. He swings and misses there with a big hack and comes up empty to make it 1-2.
And that's something you can actually see a fair bit in hitters who are good hitters, hit for a lot of power, and when their team is losing, they may get a little ambitious trying to get out in front of pitches, and that's where Tommy Henry can really sting you with the off speed.
We'll see if he goes to it here on 1-2. Lowson gets the sign from Donovan. Takes a breath as he always does. 1-2 pitch. Swing and a miss. Strike 3. You called it, Nick, right there. Looked like that good slider from Henry. He records his first strikeout of the day. There's 2 outs in the second. That'll bring up Josh McGuire, the designated hitter for the Terrapins today. McGuire, the freshman out of Newark, Delaware. Just 5'8", 175. Stands out left-handed batter's box. In his inaugural season at Maryland, hitting .245. The least number of at-bats in this starting lineup. He's really come along in the second half of the season for the Terps. Takes a first pitch outside from Henry. The count is 1-0. Had a double in the second inning of the Ohio State game that I guess technically happened today, but also happened yesterday. I believe when you note when the game took place, it will be noted that it took place today, because that's when it finished up. As the 1-0 pitch misses just outside again there. Joe Donovan likes it, tells his pitcher Tommy Henry that was a good spot, but the count is 2-0.
Well, it's really hard to say. It's not often you see a game start one day and end the next, barring games that start at late in the game and go late in the day and go a long way, maybe past midnight. But this was that was a break in between a game of several hours due to weather.
2-0 pitch outside just barely again here. It's 3-0 on McGuire. Henry's going to take a long step, going about halfway towards second base. Regroup here before coming back in and trying to battle back against the DH for the Terps. McGuire, that .245 batting average, 3 home runs, 13 RBIs on the season, just 94 at-bats overall, though. 3-0 pitch to him. Called, strike one on the fastball, right at the belt it looked like, and the count is 3-1.
And that's the easy one, and that's a huge one for Henry. Needs to get back into this at-bat, try and keep the 1-2-3 inning.
Henry puts the glove down near his belt before getting the sign. When he gets the sign, he brings it up in front of his face and takes a big breath for firing a 3-1. And it's a swung on and missed. Got him the high fastball there, and it's 3-2.
There's a pitcher messing around at the eye level. The first one, the fastball right down the middle, then the high fastball trying up near the eyes and see if he can get McGuire to swing under it, and he did.
Henry's battled back from 3-0. The count is now full. Henry versus McGuire. The payoff pitch. Called! Strike three. He froze him there with a 92-mile-an-hour heater on the inside corner. McGuire goes down. Tommy Henry's second strikeout of the game overall. We'll head to the third inning with Michigan holding a 2-0 advantage over the Terrapins of Maryland. You're listening to WCBN Sports coverage of Michigan baseball. We're the official student radio broadcast for Michigan baseball.
Well, the way it looked, the way Joe Donovan lined up on the inside half of the plate, looked like Tommy Henry was going to try and jam him inside, even get him to chase, might not even hit the zone, but Henry hits his spot perfectly, low inside corner, place where McGuire has no choice either but to swing over it. Ultimately, McGuire decides to take the pitch, and Eric Lovelace makes the decision.
So Michigan looking good here early on, both on offense and on the mound. We mentioned Tommy Henry has struggled the second half of this season. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. There's a reason he was the third arm to go to for Eric Bakich this weekend, after Karl Kaufman and Jeff Griswold both had excellent outings in the first two games of this series. You mentioned Kaufman on Wednesday went 8 innings, gave up just 3 hits, 2 runs against Ohio State, and got saddled with the loss. Yesterday, Jeff Griswold went 7 innings, gave up 3 runs on just 6 hits, struck out 10, didn't even allow a walk in there. He was absolutely dealing, was the sophomore right-hander, before he turns it over to the lefty Henry today, who's started out looking good through 2.
Well, sometimes in the last month, since mid-April, it's kind of felt we've watched this team kind of feeling like, well, if only Tommy Henry could revert back to what he was. And in that respect, as Kaufman and Criswell have been absolutely fantastic for the whole season, of course, but particularly in April, and that was as Tommy Henry kind of fell off. Tommy Henry is able to even produce a fraction of what he did in the first half of the season. If he's able to pitch like a pitcher with an ERA of 3, maybe a little bit under as opposed to what he's done in the last month, had an ERA, I believe, of 4.5 since the month of April started. If he's able to get back down to like the low 3s, even high 2s, this pitching staff is absolutely deadly and could make a run to win this tournament.
Jesse Franklin's going to lead things off for the Wolverines here in the third. First pitch to him is a breaking ball that he has to slide out of the way of. The count is 1-0 on the Wolverines center fielder. Franklin 1 for 1 today, deposited a single through the left side, the only hit of the ball game for either team thus far through 2 innings. Came around to score on the Jack Blomgren RBI groundout. He shuffles out of the way of another breaking ball down and in, and it's 2-0 on Franklin.
And the righty-lefty matchup there, Elliot Zollner once again looks like trying to jam the opposite-handed hitter inside.
It's a dangerous spot to work to a lefty, though, that down and in. A lot of lefties love to golf that one out towards the right field corner, of course. Franklin lines one down the right field line here. This one's hooking near the line, and it is foul.
That's close, though. That hooked about maybe 15 feet. If that goes straight, that sneaks just inside the foul pole at the 335 marker.
If you're going to hit one out today with that wind in from right field, it's going to be on a line drive like that. Franklin just getting ahead of that one and turning on an inside pitch. We were just talking about Zollner trying to pound him down and in. See if it changes up now on 2-1. Franklin check swings and fouls it back off of Vogt. Not happy with himself there is Franklin, and now it's 2-2.
Well, that one not dissimilar to what we've seen from Jordan Wogu. That one fouls not even close to the barrel of the bat, really more towards the hilt, in on the hands.
So at 2-2, we're all evened up now. Zollner with a chance to recover from that 2-0 deficit. The 2-2 pitch on the way, breaking ball hit high in the air to right field. Routine play there for Bednar as he's running in. Calls off the second baseman, Cowles, and makes the grab just outside of the shadow of that light structure over the right field wall. The count now, or rather the first out of the inning is recorded.
And Franklin, no doubt, is going to be frustrated with himself for that one. Had the almost home run and then ultimately giving up a routine fly ball in the part of the park where it looks like he is going to be able to drive the ball.
That'll bring up Jordan Brewer, 1 out, nobody on in the third inning. Brewer laid down a sacrifice bunt back in the first inning and moved 2 runners up in a scoring position who both ended up scoring. First pitch to him here is a breaking ball called. Strike 1 on the inside part of the plate.
And Jordan Brewer last week was crowned Big Ten Player of the Year. Unfortunately, has not really played like it in this tournament thus far.
He hits a foul ball up towards the right side. That one's going to get out of play into the first few rows, and no one making a play over there. The count's 0-2 on Brewer. You mentioned not really squaring up balls too much over the latter half of the season was Jordan Brewer, but still came away with the Big Ten Player of the Year award just because even when he's not squaring up balls, he's hitting the ball hard. He has team-leading 18 doubles against Big Ten teams in Big Ten play. He hits one high in the air towards left field, ranging over near the line. Is the left fielder Pinero. Does he have room over there? And he does not as it drifts into the seats, foul out of play. The count's going to remain 0-2 on Brewer.
And Brewer gotten away with it there. 2 foul balls. That one, very lucky. That one just going out of play. Brewer, that's something Brewer has done a fair amount in this tournament and over the last couple games is a lot of pop-outs.
And right in that area of TD Ameritrade Park, there is not much foul ground. Couldn't be more than, say, 7 feet between the line and the grandstand as opposed to behind the plate where there's a ton. 0-2 pitch misses outside for ball 1. The construction here, not dissimilar to what you see out of the Oakland Coliseum, at least near the dugouts. A ton of foul ground near the dugouts and behind the plate. But once you get over near the corners, not a lot of room for the last 50 feet or so in right and left field. 1-2 pitch ready for Brewer. It's on its way. Misses high and away with the fastball. It's now 2-2.
And those are both, the last 2 pitches that have been called balls are both borderline pitches. Very confident takes by Jordan Brewer.
And noticeable that Zollner went with the fastball. We've seen Brewer chase a couple of high fastballs when he hasn't quite been in his groove. 2-2 pitch. Breaking ball. Swing and a miss. Strike 3. Setting him up there, it turns out, was Zollner with that fastball. Gets Brewer swinging. That's Zollner's second K of the day. And there's 2 outs in the third. Jack Blomgren makes his way up to the plate for his second looks at Maryland pitching today. His first looks at Elliot Zollner. Blomgren, the only RBI recorded for anybody in the ball game today through the first couple innings and change. Had a RBI ground out to the shortstop A.J. Lee back in that first inning to drive in Jesse Franklin. He lines one towards center field. Making the play, though, with plenty of room is Allen out there. Goes into right center field. Hard hit ball, but nothing to show for it for Blomgren. So the Wolverines go down 1-2-3 here in the third. We head to the bottom of the third. Michigan still leads Maryland by a score of 2-0. You're listening to the official student radio broadcast from Michigan Baseball. You're listening to WCBN Sports.
And now Maryland looking like they've settled into this game. Zollner looks like he has his stuff in better order than he did when he first came in. That's why Michigan's first 2 runs at the top of the game made all the more important as Maryland now looks like they're going to be a little bit more stingy in surrendering more runs.
Zollner has certainly come in and looked pretty good. Aside from the 4-pitch walk to start things off, he's retired the next 6 that he's faced, including a couple of strikeouts. And really, only a hard hit ball out of those was that last one by Blomgren. Meanwhile, nothing really hit hard yet against Tommy Henry. He also has himself 2 strikeouts through 2 innings of work. Did hit Randy Bednar, but that's the only blemish on his line thus far. He'll face the 8, 9, and 1 hitters here in the third. Cowles, Allen, and then back up to the top of the lineup with Lee. Gotta correct myself there. It's actually pronounced Aline. Had it written down here. Really, I just can't read my own chicken scratch. So apologies to Chris Aline. He was one that made the catch there, the center fielder. He'll be due up second in this inning against Henry. Before we get there, though, the freshman second baseman, Benjamin Cowles, is making his way up towards the plate. Cowles on the season, 205 batting average, 324 on base. Hit himself 3 home runs, 15 RBIs in his inaugural season in College Park.
And this is important because it's already guaranteed that A.J. Lee will come up to bat again in this third inning. Optimally, if you're at this point, you want to keep A.J. Lee separate from the other dangerous hitters in the Maryland lineup, Bednar, Wright, and Costas, as if you can. Keep them out of the same innings to the degree you can. And we've seen Tommy Henry at times in third innings. The third inning at the time has turned into the one inning where Henry will struggle.
First pitch to Cowles here is a fastball on the outside corner for a strike 0-1. Cowles, a big second baseman, 6'2", 190, out of Newark, New York. Facing left-handed junior Tommy Henry. The windup and the 0-1 pitch. Muscled off back to the screen there. Got him in on the hands, and now it's 0-2.
And you see Henry there. He starts with the outside, with the fastball on the outside, called for the strike one. This, and then coming out across, trying to get back inside, brush Cowles off the plate once again. The inside pitch to the opposite-handed hitter.
Eric Bakich coming out of the dugout to make that play. Off the screen there. Now 0-2 pitch. High fastball. It's 1-2.
Well, Eric Bakich coming out to make that play. Eric Bakich, of course, former player himself, now Michigan's head coach, still very active. Not uncommon us walking to the game, see him stretching in pregame.
Got to stay in shape. Got to be ready to bounce out of that dugout there and grab that foul ball. In a much better mood than he was, I'd say, before yesterday's ball game. It was a 1-2 pitch, check swing. Did he go around? He did, says first base umpire Jim Shaley. Third strikeout of the day for Tommy Henry. Third batter in a row he set down on strikes. That'll bring up Chris Aline with 1 out, nobody on.
And Henry now looks like he might be starting to get into his groove, and especially the last month or so, it looks like he's never been able to confidently get into a stretch of batters where he felt confident in his ability to send them back to the dugout. But right now, after 3 straight strikeouts, confidence has to be very high.
First pitch here to Aline from Henry is a off speed, misses just high. Donovan tried to frame it. You heard some oohs and ahs from the Michigan dugout, but the count is 1-0 on Aline. Righty to lefty here, rather lefty to righty here. Henry comes set. Second pitch, that bat to the center fielder. High fastball, 2-0.
There's the inside again. Tommy Henry, of course, as a left-handed pitcher, more often than not, you're going to be pitching against batters who are of the opposite hand of you. And Henry, once again, resorting to the inside. Evidently, Eric Bakich, Chris Fetter, and Tommy Henry took a look at this Maryland lineup ahead of time and saw an advantage to hitting them inside.
This one is popped up high on the left side of the infield. Blake Nelson shielding his eyes from the sun. Looks like he has a beat on it, and he does. Makes the grab for out number 2. And a routine pop-up like that should be somewhat taken for granted, but as we've seen in this Big Ten tournament so far, any ball in the air can result in a little bit of, we'll say, some fun out there.
Indeed. Indiana and Minnesota, I believe, were the particularly egregious offenders that we've seen. Of course, the two teams played last night, a resounding Minnesota victory. But however, most of those errors most of those miscues were restricted to the outfield. A lot of players out of left, center, and right fielders miscommunicating, booting fly balls, and at times really just dropping them.
That'll bring up the leadoff hitter, A.J. Lee. Lee grounded out and back to start off the Maryland half of the first inning, and he swings and misses here. The first offering from Henry in the third. It's 0-1. Lee is the best hitter in this Maryland lineup. Hitting over 300 on base percentage, way up coming into the ballgame at 435. Easily the Terps' #1 guy. He grounds one towards the left side and it gets past the diving Blake Nelson into left field for a base hit.
And now this is the situation that you want to avoid if you're Tommy Henry. Randy Bednar one of the most powerful hitters, 11 home runs, 53 RBIs on the season, has the Terrapins right fielder. Now he has a man on base, an opportunity to drive the ball a long way. And as stated previously, you're a starting pitcher, you have your most dangerous. And Maryland, there's a very clear divide between the top hitters and the top 4 hitters in their lineup and everyone else. A lot of power in the top of that lineup, and now Tommy Henry is going to have to face multiple of them in this inning instead of what he should have been hoping for was just A.J. Lee in this inning and then deal with Bednar, Wright, and Costas later.
So it will be Bednar with a runner on first here, 2 outs. First pitch is low for ball 1. You mentioned Bednar got on base with a hit-by pitch back in the first inning. It was on a 1-2 pitch from Henry. He was trying to work inside to the righty and just couldn't quite keep it on the plate. Lee faking over there at first base, jumping around a bit, trying to distract Henry, and Henry fires an 0-1. Looking at a breaking ball in the outside corner. It's 1-1.
It's also worth noting, just an interesting little stat, when Henry started off the bottom of this inning by striking out Benjamin Cowles. That was his 100th strikeout on the season.
I think that makes him one of 3 Big Ten pitchers to hit 100, if I'm not mistaken. Could be wrong on that number. I haven't really followed the strikeout totals thus far in the Big Ten tournament. There's a rip down the right field line. That'll get up and foul off to our right side.
3 sounds like a reasonable number. Would not surprise me if that is Tommy Henry, Matt Waldron of Nebraska, and Andrew Salfrank of Indiana.
We can find those things out here just in 1 second as the count goes to 1-2 on Bednar yet again. This was the same count in which he was hit by a pitch in the first. We do want to look at strikeouts. It's Seth Lonsway, Dante Biasi, now Tommy Henry. I don't know if Paulie Milto hit it. Indiana didn't play today, so I don't believe he did. As this one is high and outside for ball 2.
Seth Lonsway actually does not surprise me. Of course, we got to see him on Wednesday leading the staff for the Ohio State Buckeyes. Evidently has a lot of stuff. He's also issued a lot of walks, 8 walks in that game issued by the Ohio State pitching staff. But Lonsway, absolutely a lot of stuff where you can strike out hitters.
2-2 pitch here, Bednar. Fouled off to the right side, out of play off to a right yet again, and you're getting agonizingly close, Nick, I'm telling you. I'm going to get my foul ball before this tournament's over. I can feel it. Feel it in my bones. It's all I wanted out of this whole season was just a foul ball. Of course, Michigan's success is a solid consolation prize. Count's going to remain 2-2 on the right fielder, Bednar. Lee still taking his lead off first. 2-2 pitch again. Breaking ball in the dirt. Stopped by Donovan to keep Lee over at first base, but the count is 3-2 now. Lee will be on the move here with 3-2 count, 2 outs. So Jimmy Kerrigan not even going to bother holding him on and try to maximize his range over there at first base. Actually playing right behind Lee over at first base right now is Kerr. The rest of the Michigan infield expecting Bednar to pull it a bit towards the left side. Thomas not on the left side of the bag, but near it. As Bednar hits one in the air towards right center field. It'll be right fielder Brewer ranging just a bit over to his right to make the grab without any problems for out number 3 here in the third. So Maryland does not score. They do get their first hit of the ball game. No errors for the Wolverines. 1 man left on for the Terrapins. That makes 2 altogether for them today. We'll head to the 4th inning. I will depart for a few innings and welcome in our own Daniel Thompson. But Michigan leads Maryland by a score of 2-0 as we head to the 4th inning here on WCBN Sports coverage of Michigan Baseball, the official student radio coverage for Michigan Baseball.
And once again, good work by Tommy Henry. Optimally, he would never have gotten himself into that jam, but eventually hits are going to happen when you face talented hitters like A.J. Lee at the top of the Terrapins lineup. But ultimately, good work his way out. Tommy Henry standing at around 45 pitches, I believe. Actually stands at 44 exactly. 45, my mistake. 28 strikes, right where you want to be. 15 pitches in an inning as Daniel Thompson has entered the booth.
I'm happy to be here. Finally, as the Nebraskan, it was really my obligation to be here when the Big Ten tourney comes to Omaha, but I let an Illinois, I don't know what the name for a denizen of Illinois is, but...
A Chicagoan.
Chicagoan was what I was about to default to. That's a bit easier. So I let a Chicagoan and a Michigander beat me to Omaha, but I am here now for the remainder of this tournament, and very excited to be here. Did not quite get here early enough for the Henry Doorly zoo trip, which is very disappointing to miss out on. But that's once again something us Nebraskans are blessed with that I'll let the out-of-state folks get a chance with while they're here.
And now Jimmy Kerr going to step into the batter's box for the Wolverines against Elliot Zollner to lead off the top of the 4th inning. Jimmy Kerr grounding out to first base to end the top of the 1st inning in his first at-bat today against the Terrapins. And Zollner comes set, toes the rubber, and the first pitch swung on by Jimmy Kerr and grounded between first and second and into right field. And Jimmy Kerr has his 3rd hit of the tournament, first of today.
And very well placed there. I mean, not really any chance of anyone fielding that unless they were very quick off the ball. As a first baseman, I guess he just knows where to put it. That would have bothered him himself, and gets that one into the outfield for an easy man on base to start the inning for the Wolverines.
And Jimmy Kerr coming on in a big way this season. Bit part player in his first 3 seasons in Ann Arbor, but ultimately the Scottsdale, Arizona native, turning in a big senior season, coming in at first base and all Big Ten 3rd team selection as the first pitch, off-speed pitch, settles in high in the zone for a called strike 1 on Miles Lewis.
And right now, I believe this is the 3rd or 4th innings that Michigan starts the inning by putting a man on base. So they've put themselves in good position to get out to an early lead here. And 2-0 is fine given those starts, but they can maybe build in a bit bigger on here and get some insurance.
0-1 delivery from Zollner, tapped foul by Miles Lewis. And just like that, Miles Lewis finds himself out behind in the count, 0-2. Miles Lewis walked in his first plate appearance, leading off the top of the 2nd inning.
One of those 3 innings that for Michigan with getting a man on base to start off with. Let's see if he can help a teammate now as he starts the inning with a man on base.
Miles Lewis, no stranger to plate battles, having an OBP of 375, 104 points higher than his 271 average, as the 0-2 delivery called strike 3. Off-speed pitch settles down low in the zone, and Miles Lewis is sent down.
Well, that won't help the OBP, but nonetheless, that's pretty impressive how much he can get on base just through without using his bat even. So disappointing at bat there for the Wolverines, but they still got a man on with 1 out. And we're going to move on, to Joe Donovan now here in the bottom 3rd of the order.
As Freddie Mercury's precocious 4-octave voice begets the arrival of Joe Donovan, the Wolverine starting catcher, to the batter's box. Right-hander hitting .257 on the season so far, and Zollner comes set, taking his time. Really taking his time, and ultimately time called. Believe that was by John Vogt. And now Donovan will settle back into the box. And Zollner looking back and Vogt for the signal. Zollner still taking his time now. Comes set, toes the rubber, and finally the first pitch swung on and fouled down the first base line by Joe Donovan.
Jimmy Kerr still looking for any help to advance here, but Michigan is not guaranteed to get to the top of their lineup yet this inning. We'll see what some of the guys in the back of the lineup can do here and maybe extend that Michigan lead.
And Donovan reassuming his batting stance as the 0-1 delivery is a called strike 2 in the high outside corner. And just like that, Elliot Zollner, after giving up a single on the first pitch of the inning to Jimmy Kerr, has thrown 5 straight strikes.
Back-to-back 0-2 counts as well. That's really got him ahead of these batters' battles right now, and that's going to help turn the tide here.
0-2 delivery swung on, and is it put in play? Hard to see, and it will drop just foul. Joe Donovan getting away with one, the long pop-up foul just outside the first base line. Neither Costas or Bednar able to move over to make that play. If that's a little bit, that's about 5 feet to the left, that's a single.
Yeah, both the outfielders, they were getting pretty close to that ball, but I think if that was really perfectly placed, that could have landed just inside and got Michigan multiple batters or runners on the bases, but nonetheless, still an 0-2 count here for Joe Donovan.
And the 0-2 delivery, and Donovan able to put this one, slicing foul. And Joe Donovan staying alive so far in this at-bat, much longer than his predecessor, Miles Lewis.
And Zollner now is, I believe, 8 pitches into this inning and no balls yet.
Indeed.
Gave up a hit, but that's the silver lining. No balls so far for Zollner.
Elliot Zollner settled down immensely since issuing a walk to the first batter he faced, and the 0-2 delivery again, and this one a foul ball straight back at us about 50 feet below.
Yep, that got up into the second deck. Can't quite tell where it is, but if there were no seats, we could probably see that one just maybe 30 feet below us.
And Zollner comes set. The count's still 0-2. And now Zollner likes what he sees from Vogt. And the 0-2 delivery once again, and swung on and missed, and Joe Donovan is sent down, getting out ahead of the off-speed pitch.
So Zollner really settling in here. Now that's 10 pitches, no balls, to start the 4th inning.
And Elliot Zollner now thrown 2 2/3 innings and has only given up 1 hit, 1 walk, 3 strikeouts. Not what you'd expect considering the Terrapins right-hander comes into today with a ERA of up around 7.8. Dropped a little bit now as the first pitch is taken high and inside by Blake Nelson, and there it is, the first ball of the inning.
There we go, 11 pitches in for Zollner, but who's done a very good job given his usage so far this year, and his performances when he does play have not been awe-inspiring. So he's given this Maryland coaching staff a bit more reason to believe in him.
1-0 delivery to Zollner. Off-speed pitch settles nicely into the zone, and a called strike one, and the count evened up at 1 to third baseman Blake Nelson.
And there he is back to business and not getting behind in these counts. So far, just that 1 ball out of 12 pitches.
And Nelson stepping back into the box. Zollner comes set, toes the rubber, and Zollner will make a quick throw to first. Jimmy Curry able to get back in time. No real danger there, but Zollner, a bit of an odd pickoff move, has kind of that submarine whip motion on his pickoff move. Bit of a delay, too. May have double clutched it. Jimmy Kerr, of course, not known for being a base stealer. Now the 1-1 delivery. Another one high and inside. Oh, plunked Blake Nelson on the shoulder. And just like that, Michigan has runners on first and second.
And that was a really bizarre way that hit Nelson on the shoulder. I mean, at first I thought that was just a wild pitch that maybe slightly went off the catcher's glove. But then when he took off, I realized, oh, that must have hit him. But bizarre placement for Zollner, who's had great control this inning up until now. Still, I guess, the 1 ball, but batter hit by pitch now puts runners on first and second for Akeo Thomas.
And who would have knew? Runners on first and second, 2 outs. Akeo Thomas is up. Wolverines senior second baseman, and the first pitch is taken outside for a ball. Akeo Thomas, of course, in his last season in Ann Arbor, there was speculation. Austin Falco and I were talking about it off air that, and at a moment when it looked like the Michigan game between Illinois was not going the way that Wolverines everywhere were hoping for, that very well was Akeo Thomas's last game in a Wolverine uniform. But he has prolonged his career at least into today, and very likely the NCAA tournament, as well as the 1-0 delivery settles high in the zone and called for a strike.
Yeah, that really was the stakes there yesterday. Michigan fighting to keep their Big Ten tournament season alive and needing another huge win, having not played Illinois so far, and not having gotten another big win against a tournament team. That really helped solidify Michigan's resume. And now they can play with a bit more freedom, I guess, in this one.
And Zollner comes set. The 1-1 delivery to Thomas, and high and inside. Ball 2, and Akeo Thomas finding himself out in front once again against Zollner, 2-1. And now Zollner working a little bit quicker, as liking what he sees from Vogt. Actually taking his time a little bit now. Here he comes. Comes set, toes the rubber. 2-1 delivery, and this one low and outside. 3-1, and just like that, Zollner is in danger of loading the bases for Jordan Wogu.
And there we go. We were talking about at the beginning of this inning how Zollner was doing a great job staying ahead of the count and not being in any danger. Now he's a ball away from a bases loaded for Jordan Wogu.
You've jinxed him, Daniel. Great job. And the 3-1 delivery, and Thomas swings on it, launches it high into right field, and ultimately it will be a routine play for Randy Bednar. And just like that, Maryland escapes another inning as Michigan strands 2 at first and second. And we will head to the bottom of the 4th. The score still Michigan 2, Maryland nothing. Once again, thank you very much for listening to WCBN Sports coverage of Michigan baseball at the Big Ten Tournament here at TD Ameritrade Park in Omaha, Nebraska, right on the Missouri River. In fact, we can see the state of Iowa from our position in the press box.
Yep, looking right at the Bob Carey, my bad. Should know my Nebraskan Senators. Bob Carey pedestrian bridge right there, taking you over to Iowa. In fact, we're right here along the Missouri River. Austin Falco was telling me earlier, right before the game starts, how he has to drive through Iowa to get through his hotel because of the weird oxbow formation lake here. Carter Lake, it's known by. It's an offshoot of the Missouri River when it changed paths, so that stranded a small portion of Iowa west of the Missouri River. We're not quite close enough that anyone could feasibly hit a home run into Iowa, but all the batters are going to be aiming toward Iowa. So here today, at least if you really hit it out by left field, you're going to get your ball maybe halfway over to Iowa if you really get a piece of that.
And Tommy Henry stepping back out onto the mound for a fourth inning of work. Henry thrown 45 pitches through 3 innings, given up 1 hit, no walks, 3 strikeouts, faced 11 batters.
And another big aspect of him being reliable here for the Wolverines is that lets them keep their arms fresh. It's going to hurt a lot of teams in this Big Ten tournament. I mean, to win this, you can end up having to play as many as 5 games. And a lot of college baseball teams just don't have that kind of depth in their pitching rotation. The longer Tommy Henry can stay in this game, the longer he keeps the whole Michigan bullpen fresh.
And as stated, Maryland has already made 1 pitching change today, with Tyler Blom coming out of the game in favor of Elliot Zollner, and Michigan has yet to move a single bullpen arm, not even a catcher, out to the bullpen out in right field, as the first pitch to Taylor Wright is high and way outside for a first pitch ball. And Henry taking the signal from Donovan. And now the 1-0 delivery to Wright, and another one outside, and Henry finding himself behind in another count, 2-0.
And Wright, one of Maryland's best batters, second highest batting average on the season at .294. Maryland with only 1 batter above 300 on the year, so they definitely don't want to be in a position where they're down 2 runs right now, trying to battle out of that.
And now the 2-0 delivery, and this one swung on high in the air. Is that going to stay in the field? Yes, it will, and Jordan Brewer will range over and make the routine play as Taylor Wright getting under the ball hung way high in the air as Jordan Brewer ultimately able to come down with it.
And Brewer basically ran a C in that in the pursuit of that ball, and that, as you mentioned earlier in this broadcast, the wind is nothing like it was yesterday, but that 11 miles south to southwest that they announced before the game, that was really the first time you could really see it there, as that ball was hit hard to the right on a no-wind day. That ball had so much hang time it would have landed well right of the foul line, but that wind was able to bring it way back toward the infield. I know we both thought, is that maybe a home run when it was first hit?
And first pitch fouled straight back by Maxwell Costas, and Tommy Henry with the first pitch strike. Maxwell Costas hitting a 2-run home run against Ohio State last night, the only source of scoring offense for the Terrapins in that game that has ultimately put them in the elimination bracket. And Henry, the 0-1 delivery, and another one fouled straight back just in front of us.
I thought I could have got it. Falco was about ready to jump out the window there in pursuit of it.
He was close.
Might bring his laptop with him if he tried to leap out there. We got that.
Yeah, that would terminate the broadcast. So if things suddenly, if I say foul ball and suddenly a broadcast goes out, that means something good happened. And Henry comes set. The 0-2 delivery is just outside, and Donovan and Henry both really wanted that one, but the count is 1-2.
Yep, unable to get Coates looking there for potentially an 0-3 count. Nonetheless, still up in this one. 1-2 count, none on base.
Now Henry, the 1-2 delivery, takes a breath, and here it comes, and this one low and in the dirt, and Costas checked the swing. Eric Lovelace appealing over to Jim Shaley at first base, and Shaley ruling Costas did not go around. The count is evened up at 2.
And that's the right call there. He definitely checked his swing in time. Stays alive for now in this at-bat.
And Henry comes set. The 2-2 delivery now from the lefty. Swung on, and ground ball put in play And a bit of a scramble play. Jimmy Kerr flipping it over to Tommy Henry, ranging over, and Henry falls down and drops the ball as Costas safe at first base. A slow trickling ground ball. Henry looked like he first called off Jimmy Kerr and tried to range it, but the ball kept moving past him, and ultimately Henry sprinting over to first base. Jimmy Kerr trying to play over. Would have been a ground out, but Henry not able to keep his footing or held on to the ball, and a bit of a scary moment as Tommy Henry laying on the ground for a bit longer than any Michigan fan would be comfortable with.
And that ball was not well hit by any sense of the imagination, but it ended up working out as it rolled just slowly enough to confuse the Michigan infield. Three infielders really just converging in on that ball and decided a bit too late who was going to take what responsibility. Ultimately, Kerr, the first baseman, tries to field it. As we have Kim Hill, the athletic trainer here on staff, going out just to make sure Tommy Henry is all right. It certainly looked scary there for a moment as he was sitting right by first base where he could not finish the play. Kim Hill now returning back toward the Michigan dugout. And it looks like Tommy Henry will be just fine. But for a second there, you had to be worried about that. He was grabbing his ankle, lying on the ground, but looked like that was nothing more than just some pain, but no serious injury as he takes a couple of warm-up pitches here to make sure everything is all right.
Yep.
And, the umpire is satisfied and is returning to home plate.
Head coach Eric Backish also jogging back to the dugout. That's really the first defensive miscue by the Wolverines infield all tournament. They have been quite reliable, which is not something you've been able to say about the Michigan defense all season.
No, going back to a Thursday in Lincoln here, 8 days ago back in Nebraska, Michigan was tied with the Huskers before having a similar error to third base. Could not force the out at third and ended up resulting in 2 runs that gave the Huskers a lead they never surrendered. So can't let these errors get the best of them if they want to make it to Championship Sunday.
Now Michael Pinero, first pitch is low and in the dirt. And just like that, Pinero's out in front 1-0 with Costas on first base. And Pinero steps back into the box. Henry taking a signal from Joe Donovan. Now he toes the rubber from the stretch. Tommy Henry, the delivery, and swung on, and it will be fouled back. And just on the top of the Maryland dugout, and it will bounce back into the stands as a crowd of people conglomerates to retrieve the ball, and ultimately it has been retrieved.
And judging by the color of those shirts there, and the way they've set it up where the families are sitting behind the dugouts, that's right toward the Maryland section, so they'll be excited to bring home a Maryland foul ball.
Well, it's hard to say. Maryland is a very long way away.
Well, yeah, it could
really,
be Husker fans.
It does not matter what game it's been today. I think the majority here have been Nebraska fans. The only exception I can say is when Iowa played Indiana, the Iowa fans were the majority at that instance. And now the 1-1 delivery swung on and missed as Henry finds himself back in another 2-strike count, 1-2.
I can make out that unique Maryland flag on one of the jerseys that someone's wearing down there. So at least I can assure you at least one Maryland fan in attendance.
Is it Alex Kramer?
I don't believe so.
And now Pinero stepping back into the box. Henry comes set from the stretch, the 1-2 delivery, and just outside. The count evened up at 2, and a couple murmurs of dissent from the Michigan dugout.
And that's 2 batters in a row now who almost went out looking, instead narrowly called a ball, and that keeps the at-bat alive, much like it did for Costas just a couple minutes ago.
And now Henry comes set, the 2-2 delivery swung on and missed, and Tommy Henry with another strikeout, and now 2 away in the bottom of the 4th inning as Pinero sent down on a swinging strike 3.
Can't make him look much better than that. Pinero was all in on that ball and then just dipped a little bit below under his bat. Henry gets the out. Doesn't have to worry about fielding on that one. And I guess with Michigan's fielding errors for the season, maybe the strategy is just strike everyone out.
And now after Pinero's strikeout, Justin Vogt, the sophomore catcher, steps into the box, and the first pitch swung on and missed, and another first pitch strike for Tommy Henry, 0-1, and he is 2 strikes away from stranding Maxwell Costas at first base after what could have been a disastrous play.
Yep, should have been a routine fielding exercise. Instead, gets a man on base, and Tommy Henry looked like he could have been seriously injured at the end of that one.
And the 0-1 delivery called strike 2 on the inside half of the plate. And Henry one strike away now from getting out of the 4th inning, as there appears to be a bit more action in the Maryland bullpen. Michigan still has yet to move a single player in the direction of their bullpen in right field. Now Henry, the 0-2 delivery is taken high for a ball.
Yep, definitely someone warming up way out there in left field. Can't quite make out the number from all that 400 feet away, but Maryland is looking ready to move on to a new pitcher here, maybe for the top of the 5th. We'll see.
And now Henry from the stretch, 1-2 delivery, another one taken outside. And the count is evened up at 2. And looks like it is number 27, Andrew Vail, in the bullpen warming up for the Terrapins. He may come in to replace Elliot Zollner in due time. As Henry, now the 2-2 delivery is another one high and outside. And just like that, Justin Vogt has battled his way back into the count, and the count has been worked full.
First full count for Henry this inning. We'll see how he manages it.
And Henry comes set. Costas at first. Kerr not holding him. Payoff pitch is taken high. Ball 4. And just like that, Tommy Henry from an 0-2 count has walked Justin Vogt. And now runners on first and second. Maryland has an opportunity for a bit of a 2-out rally.
Sure do. Interestingly, that was actually ruled a hit when Costas got on base. I would have thought that would go down as an error. Just noticing that now in the box score. So 2 hits apiece to both teams, as they're calling it right now. And that is going to be big for Maryland, as that gets them in scoring position, something they have not been able to say so far today. We'll see if they can do anything with it.
And now Josh McGuire, the freshman designated hitter, steps into the box, and the first pitch is taken for a ball. As Tommy Henry, all of a sudden now starting to struggle to find the strike zone, as a bit of a foreboding sign, as we have seen throughout the month of April. Tommy Henry cruising along nicely and then hitting one inning where all of a sudden he struggles to send batters down. And now the 1-0 delivery swung on and missed, and just like that, Tommy Henry gets back into the count 1-1.
Yep, and if Maryland can add any runs, that's going to make that error, well, they ruled it a hit, but that fielding issue look really bad for the Wolverines, as they were nearly out of that inning. Would have been a 1-2-3 inning had that not occurred. Right now, Michigan in a slight area for concern, still with a 2-0 lead, though, not likely to take too much damage this inning with 2 out.
And Henry looking back at second. The 1-1 delivery swung on. It will be a ground ball to second base. Akeo Thomas will flip it over to Jimmy Kerr for the routine ground ball. And just like that, the bottom of the 4th is concluded. And we will move to the top of the 5th before long, as Tommy Henry keeps the shutout going through 4 innings. The score, Michigan 2, Maryland 0, in a win-or-go-home elimination game. Once again, you are listening to WCBN Sports coverage of Michigan baseball at the Big Ten tournament at TD Ameritrade Park in Omaha, Nebraska.
And due up to start the 5th inning will be Michigan's top of the lineup, going with Akeo Thomas being the last out in the in the top of the 4th. It's going to be the usual lead-up hitters for the top of the 5th. Jordan Wogu starting due up, so Michigan may be looking to get some insurance runs here. They started off hot, 2-0, and have not been able to capitalize on any other chances since. Stranded a good number of runners on base at this point. We'll see if they can drive in the first score of the game since that top of the 1st.
And Elliot Zollner still out there on the mound. Looks like he may get another inning or so, but Andrew Vail still standing up there in that bullpen. This very well could be Zollner's last inning. If he completes the 5th inning, he will have pitched 4 full innings. So far, 3 innings of 1-hit baseball, 1 walk, 4 strikeouts, thrown 45 pitches.
And all in all, that's been enough to keep Maryland in it. Their offense really failed them yesterday / this morning, only putting together 2 runs after holding Illinois to 2, winning 6-2. This game did not start well defensively for Maryland, but at this point, 2 runs should be enough to keep your team in it. And they are still definitely in it, but they need those bats that they had back on Wednesday when they knocked off Illinois 6-2.
And of course, Maryland's bats looked cold for a large stretch of that game before coming alive in the 8th inning, a pair of 2-run home runs to ultimately salt away the 6-2 victory. And now Zollner standing at the rubber, and Jordan Wogu about to step up to the dish. Eric Lovelace taking a second to brush off the plate with his little umpire brush. Not really sure why he has that brush, but either way he has it, and he puts it to good use.
Wogu, of course, the hero from yesterday, looking to get his first hit since that walk-off double to seal the 2-run double to seal the deal for the Wolverines and bring them to this game that they would not be in otherwise.
And a bit of an odd moment as Eric Lovelace standing in the left-handed batter's box for a minute now, stepping behind Justin Vogt, and Jordan Wogu able to step up as Zollner from the stretch. First pitch is taken low and outside for a ball. Jordan Wogu, third plate appearance of the game, walked in the first inning as the first batter of the game, and then a ground out to second base in his second trip up to the plate. And now the 1-0 delivery swung on and fouled straight back by Jordan Wogu, and the count is evened up at 1.
The Ann Arbor native here in Omaha went to Pioneer High School, much like Jim Harbaugh and other Michigan athletes. So, making noise here and away from Ann Arbor.
And the 1-1 delivery is launched high into center field, but ultimately a routine play for Aline, and just like that, 1 away for Zollner.
And now that's only the second inning so far that Maryland has kept the first batter off the bases. So Maryland off to a better start than they usually are. Have done a pretty good job managing the holes they've gotten themselves into to start the inning, usually only surrendering 2 runs.
Now Rob Vaughn stepping out to the mound, and just like that, Elliot Zollner will be yanked, thrown 3 1/3 innings, and looks like it will be Andrew Vail coming into pitch for the Terrapins. And I will chastise you, Daniel, for propagating a little bit of fake news. Jim Harbaugh went to high school in Palo Alto in California.
He did, but he started at Pioneer, did he not?
He did not finish there.
Okay, but he still went to high school there. If you start high school, he doesn't mean that you don't have to graduate to have attended the high school.
Indeed, he did attend Pioneer High School.
His dad was a defensive coordinator, I believe, for the Wolverines.
Indeed, and when his father became the defensive coordinator.
No, I believe John is a Pioneer alum.
Actually, I believe that very well may be true, but when Jack Harbaugh became the defensive coordinator at Stanford, Jim Harbaugh transferred out to Palo Alto High School, and where he graduated, and ultimately he parlayed into a successful playing career as starting quarterback for Michigan, as Andrew Vail just delivering a couple warm-up pitches. Rob Vaughn very quick with the yank, and actually I was mistaken. It was not Andrew Vail. Instead, it was number 23, Drew Wilden.
The left-handed pitcher coming in relief now for Zollner, who is a righty, so I don't know if maybe that was any part of the decision. It did not look like Zollner was... It did not feel like the wheels were going to come off anytime very soon for Zollner.
Indeed, it very likely is by the dominant hand theory, as Jesse Franklin, the Wolverines' most dangerous left-handed hitter, will step into the batter's box once Drew Wilden is deemed to have delivered a sufficient number of warm-up pitches. Franklin, one of only 2 left-handed batters in the Michigan lineup. Franklin and Jimmy Kerr, and Michigan, a couple runners on base away from having both of them up in the same inning, would be against a lefty in Drew Wilden. Miles Lewis also listed as a switch hitter, however, he is exclusively hit from the right this season. So
that would explain the decision there, because if you didn't see this and you're just listening to us on the radio, you might Wogu's out was not particularly close to being a home run at all. I mean, this is a bit, of course, a deeper park than almost any other Big Ten stadium, but that was not really in any park a danger to to get to the warning track or anything. So don't think it was really any comment on Zolliner's ability to stay in the game, just more so that they wanted to get those dominant hand matchups that they preferred, and might be wise here getting into the real meat of the Michigan lineup.
And now Jesse Franklin, single in his first plate appearance, and then a fly out to right in his second. And here's the first pitch, and Franklin muscles that one just foul. And the count now 0-1. Very well would have been a single if that one drops fair. Costas has to make the play. Maryland's infield, aside from Taylor Wright at third base, playing very deep. Costas almost out into shallow right field down the first base line as the 0-1 delivery is taken down and away for a ball.
Yep, they've certainly shifted themselves very much so to Franklin's right.
And the 1-1 delivery high and up near the eyes as Jesse Franklin having to duck out of the way and finds himself out ahead again, 2-1.
Yep, having to work to not get hit by that one. Now has the lead in the count.
Wilden working quickly, the 2-1 delivery, swing and a miss by Franklin. And Wilden working lightning quick so far, and looked like that one may have caught up to Jesse Franklin.
And Wilden, one of the only pitchers in that Maryland dugout who has not been used so far this tournament. Vale has been.
And the 2-2 delivery is low and in the dirt. And
full
now
count.
The count is run full, and Jesse Franklin, no stranger to this position, leading the Wolverines by a not insubstantial margin in walks, with 42 on the season. And Wilden comes set, the payoff pitch, and it is taken outside for ball 4, and just like that, Jesse Franklin reaches base for the second time this game.
And there we go, another Wolverine on base. 1 out, 1 on to the first. And that also, bearing a double play, will likely mean that Kerr, if Michigan can get one more on base and avoid any double plays, Kerr can get up to bat, and then that would perhaps exhaust Wilden's purpose here on the mound. I don't know how much longer. He hasn't played yet this turn yet. I'm not sure how much longer Maryland intends on keeping him in the game.
And the first pitch to Jordan Brewer is fouled straight back, well below us. Falco was looking the other way, but he had never had a chance at it anyway. But either way, and that was Jesse Franklin's 43rd walk on the season. That leads the Big Ten. As Jordan Brewer stepping back into the box behind 0-1 in the count is the Big Ten Player of the Year, and the 0-1 delivery swung on and may have tipped that off his glove and then off the shoulder of John Vogt, and Jordan Brewer behind 0-2. As now Nick Turnbull up in the bullpen for Maryland. Looked like Rob Vaughn maybe setting the goal of using every single bullpen arm in this game. And Wilden comes set. The 0-2 delivery is taken down and away for a ball, and confident take there by Jordan Brewer, staying alive.
And Turnbull, I don't believe, has been used either so far in this tournament. So really, they're going to use basically all their relievers. I think almost everyone left on that team. I don't see a pitcher on their roster who.
And a half-hearted pickoff move almost goes over the head of Max Costas. Jesse Franklin, not known for being a threat to steal. 3 stolen base attempts all season. However, all 3 of them were successful. As Costas playing Franklin close. Franklin taking a pretty liberal leadoff, and just like there, and the pickoff is on, and Franklin sliding into second base, and he is safe!
Really?
And Jesse Franklin gets caught doubled up as the half-hearted pickoff throw from Wilden over to Costas, and Franklin goes. Wilden disguising that pickoff move well, and Franklin on the charge to second. Costas makes the throw. Looks like he got it, but it was a bit high to Cowles, and Franklin sliding in, and now the umpires are going to talk it over. Look like this one may well go to a replay review.
And I think it's definitely worth a second look. I know myself and Austin Falco, we were a bit surprised by that ruling. To me, I did not think he made it in time. I thought the tag beat him to before he got to the base, but it was certainly a very close call. We'll see what they had to say under review. And Michigan.
And it will be Eric Lovelace and Mike Duffy as Austin Falco moves to the other room to take a look at the tag, and he's saying that Jesse Franklin was in fact safe. Almost a disastrous moment. Jesse Franklin going a little bit too early, falling for the pickoff move. But ultimately, from the results of this review, Franklin will either look brilliant or he will look kind of silly.
Well, and does it count as a jinx if you say a guy doesn't steal much and then he steals a base? I don't know if that really works as a jinx, but
it's hard to say. But not sure if that was. I don't believe that review was initiated by Rob Vaughn. I believe that was the. Oh, it was a challenge issued by Rob Vaughn as Eric Lovelace sinking back into the review room to take a look at the tag. And if he is in fact declared safe, that is a stolen base to remember for Jesse Franklin, his 4th on the season. And
I don't know.
Nope, that's a grounds crew member coming out of the tunnel. So we will wait a little bit longer. Unfortunately, the television up in this booth is not working, so we cannot look at broadcast. And still getting assurances from Austin Falco that Jesse Franklin is safe at 2nd. Michigan, more often than not, been on the positive side of reviews. Of course, the one that is going to be remembered for a while is Jimmy Kerr, the swim move at 3rd base, originally called out, and Kerr standing up, putting his hands on his ears to tell Coach Bakich to signal for the review, which he ultimately did. And now Eric Lovelace has re-entered the field of play, and he is safe. The call is upheld. Jesse Franklin now 4 for 4 on the season, and now a runner in scoring position for Jordan Brewer.
So he's efficient when he does decide to go for it.
Hey, what can you say? Don't steal unless you're confident you can make it.
Well, and you might have perhaps he knew something that we didn't. You might have accused him of being fooled by the pickoff, but maybe he knew exactly what he was doing as a guy who is yet to be tagged out this season while trying to steal.
That is a very lackadaisical pickoff move by Drew Wilden. It is worth noting. And now Wilden eyes Jordan Brewer. The count 1-2. 1-2 delivery is another one in the dirt. And good effort by John Vogt to block the ball. If that gets through the legs, Jesse Franklin is well on his way to 3rd base. And count is evened up at 2. Jordan Brewer has battled back.
Now has a player in scoring position, too, on top of that.
Indeed. Current Big Ten Player of the Year, Jordan Brewer. Stared down by Drew Wilden. Wilden, the 2-2 delivery, swung on and missed, and Jordan Brewer is sent down on strikes. And now Jack Blomgren will step into the box. Let's see what he can do with Jesse Franklin in scoring position.
And 2nd strikeout of the day, 2nd in a row for the reigning Big Ten Player of the Year. And you know at some point he's going to come to life in this tournament. And that's really just a ticking time bomb for Michigan's opponents. Maybe they got to try to... Everyone here on the upper side of the bracket has to try to bury the Wolverines before Brewer does come to life here and brings that offense that helped him win Big Ten Player of the Year.
And Jack Blomgren currently hitting .301 on the season as Wilden steps off the mound to look back at Franklin. Nobody holding the Wolverines center fielder at 2nd base, however.
So, yeah, if they went for the pickoff now, don't really know how that would end for him, but...
And now Blomgren stands back in the batter's box. Wilden eyes 2nd. Franklin, secondary lead, and the first pitch of the at-bat is taken low for a ball.
So 1-0 count here for Blomgren. So far, Wilden has done a good job getting ahead in the counts early, but right now in Blomgren's favor. Franklin taking some liberty off the bag, given that no one really is closely guarding 2nd or 3rd right now.
Runner on 2nd, 1 out. Franklin has room to run if he wished, and Wilden stepping off the mound, trying to slow this inning down a little bit as Blomgren will get back into his stance, and Wilden will come set. Secondary lead from Franklin, and the 1-0 delivery taken low for a ball. Blomgren out ahead in the count 2-0. Jesse Franklin almost a quarter of the way off to 3rd base by the time Wilden enters the windup.
He's definitely looking to score if Blomgren gets any piece of this and sends it into the outfield.
Indeed, Eric Bakich, since arriving in Ann Arbor, the Michigan head coach known for his aggression and pickoff throw back to second base. Cowles had to range over to make the play, but Franklin in safely. Eric Bakich, since arriving in Ann Arbor handful of years ago, known for his aggressive use of base runners. And you see it here again. If Franklin on the move, Blomgren ropes one into left field. Very likely Michigan scratches across another run. And now the 2-0 delivery is on its way. And this one a called strike one. Blomgren obviously no intention of swinging at that one.
Now the catcher going up to the mound for a conference with Weldon.
And Vogt coming out to talk it over with his pitcher. Drew Weldon looking a little bit rattled after first the pickoff move that could not prevent the stolen base. And now A.J. Lee will also come out to the mound and talk it over with the Terrapins left-handed pitcher, as now they will both return to their respective positions.
Short discussion, but looks like they're ready to go forward now.
Weldon standing on the mound, eyes the signal from Justin Vogt. And now he comes set. Vogt lines up over the plate. And Weldon pulled off the mound, and Jesse Franklin forced back, and Jesse Franklin occupying space inside the back of the mind of Drew Weldon right now.
And there's still no one on second to tag him out if they go for a quick pickoff. Franklin was in a hurry to get back to second, but as of right now, the rest of the infield is not treating Franklin as serious of a threat to steal right now as Weldon is.
Well, stealing third base might be a bridge too far even for Eric Bakich, as particularly with Jesse Franklin. That's Christian Bullock. That's another story.
Well, and that's a good way to ruin your 4 for 4 on the season for stealing bases, is going for third.
And Weldon pulled off the mound again. And now you hear some derision from the Michigan crowd as Weldon clearly rattled by the presence of Jesse Franklin. A.J. Lee playing very deep in the gap at shortstop as well. I remember once Prince Fielder for the Tigers tried to steal third base. It didn't work so well.
I can only imagine.
And Weldon looking back at Franklin. 2-1 delivery finally on its way, and a called strike two nestling into the zone. It's got to be hard for Jack Blomgren. So long between pitches.
That was about 3 or 4 minutes in the making. I guess it was all worth it for Weldon. Does get a strike there and knocks the count back up to 2-2. But, I mean, I kind of forgot what had been happening at home plate with all the second base drama going on.
It's kind of easy to forget that Jack Blomgren is, in fact, there.
With all the attention being on Franklin right now.
And now Weldon comes set. The 2-2 pitch to Blomgren is outside, and the count is worked full by Jack Blomgren.
And there we do get consecutive pitches, no trying to pick anyone off or anything. Moving this game further along, like I'm sure the Big Ten is eager to. They're already behind in today's schedule because of the rain delays, so I'm sure the Big Ten, at least, for scheduling purposes, they are ready to see the end of this Franklin drama.
And here it is, the payoff pitch taken low. And a bit of a, oh my, Jesse Franklin doubled up between bases, and it will be Jesse Franklin pegged at third base, and now the ball rolls over to the dugout. Jesse Franklin is going to come around to score, and Jack Blomgren moves over to third, and
I cannot.
There are.
We're all just in laughter up here in the press box. I mean,
oh
wow,
my.
that was poorly managed, but it looks fine up until they hit Franklin in the back while trying to tag him at third.
Here's what happens. So the payoff pitch comes, and Blomgren checks the swing. It's a check swing in the dirt, and he starts moving, and Blomgren thinks that a ball 4 is called. He drops the bat. He starts walking, and then Vogt thinks it's a swinging strikeout wild pitch, picks up the ball and tries to tag him. And Eric Lovelace appeals down to first base. And Jim Shaley appeals that says that Blomgren did not go around, so it is a walk. But between all of that, Jesse Franklin decides to move from second over to third, and Vogt makes the throw to third base. Franklin gets doubled off, but then A.J. Lee, the throw, after a couple of throws back and forth between Wright and Lee, Lee's throw bounces off Jesse Franklin's head, rolls past Taylor Wright over at the edge of the Maryland dugout. Franklin comes all the way around to score, and in the midst of the action, Blomgren moves over to third as, just like that, the count is now 1-1 on Jimmy Kerr.
I hope everyone at home was taking notes. I wish there had been more concern about the runner on third right now and given us more time to explain all of that. That's going to take about a minute and a half to fully
And
unpack.
the 1-1 delivery, Jimmy Kerr ropes one into right field, and an RBI single for Jimmy Kerr as Jack Blomgren scores. Michigan has doubled their lead in this inning, and from the official score, the play with Blomgren and Franklin will be ruled a walk to Blomgren, a stolen base of third for Franklin, so now 5 for 5 on the season, and then an error on AJ. An E6 on AJ Lee will allowing Franklin to score and allowing Blomgren to move over to third.
I got a bit greedy with my hopes there. I was hoping they would say that Franklin ends up getting 6 for 6
stole
on
home.
this.
Stole home.
But no, that was an error. And I mean, Franklin tried to duck out of that. That was a really low thrown ball to the third baseman, and he tried to duck out of it. It still hit him in the upper back.
And the first pitch to Miles Lewis, muscled out into left field, and Michigan now has runners on first and second. Jimmy Kerr will not try to stretch that into third base. That one may be a little bit too ambitious for Jimmy Kerr. And now Rob Vaughn will step out to the mound, and it looks like Drew Wilden is going to get yanked after one of the most 2 outs into one of the most bizarre innings you will ever see.
And in about the same amount of time it took to get one pitch off here for Wilden versus Blomgren just a few minutes ago, in that same stretch of time, we were able to see this chaos unfold. I mean, so a walk followed by a stolen base and an error allowing a man to come home, and then that same error allowing Blomgren to get all the way to third base on a walk. That was nearly a strikeout, and then an attempt to steal to get to first. I mean, and all because of this slight misunderstanding there from the catcher. Vogt has got to feel terrible about that. I mean,
and now Vaughn will walk back to the dugout. Actually, it looks like Drew Wilden will stay in the game for the time being. And
most of this is not his fault. The 2 hits right here, that's on him. But I mean, that inning should have been over. Well, he walked the batter. Should have been runners on the corners, but
very, very straight. Should have been runners on first and second. If he just walks him, Franklin doesn't go.
Yes, yeah, you're right. Yeah.
But still trying to process what just happened. But Joe Donovan stepping up into the box. 2 outs, runners on first and second. Situation Donovan finds himself in. The first pitch is taken high for ball 1.
By the time we get our post-game podcast out, we'll probably understand what happened there. No promises.
And now eyeing Vogt's glove is Drew Wilden. Comes set, the delivery swung on and fouled straight back, a chopper into the Maryland dugout by Joe Donovan. We probably should have realized what we were in for when all 4 of the top 4 seeds lost on the first day of the tournament on Wednesday. No doubt been a chaotic tournament.
I mean, what a way to double your lead, 4-0 just like that. The batting has not been superb here for the Wolverines, but they've been able to earn walks, and they've ran the base as well, and gotten some luck, of course.
And the 1-1 delivery, Donovan will muscle that one into left field, and that one hangs just enough to be caught by Michael Pinero, and that will end the top of the strangest 5th inning you will see.
And there's still half an inning to go.
Indeed, Michigan 4, Maryland 0.
And I thought Donovan had brought another man, or at least made it close to bring another man home there.
It looked like it there.
Yeah, the way that came off the bat, the sound of it all, it sounded like that was not going to hang in the air so long and maybe take a skip maybe 20 or 30 feet behind the second base, but instead that one hangs in the air and is a rather easy fly ball to catch. But nonetheless, Michigan can't complain too much about how that one ended.
We are going to have some questions for head coach Eric Bakich in the post-game press conference about that inning. And
that was basically 2 runs gift. I mean, the second run was bad at home. That was
Jimmy Kerr earned himself that one.
Yes, but that air and the stolen base, the air, all of it right there. At least one run gift wrapped for the Wolverines. And if you're Maryland, I mean, you're not getting into the tournament as an at-large. You got to win these games, and you cannot make mistakes like that.
And something I would not surprise me if either in the locker room after the game or even in the dugout just now, Eric Bakich going to Jesse Franklin with going to second on the pickoff move and then trying to steal third on the confusion over the check swing. Probably getting doubled up and then getting away with it, ultimately running around to score. Probably took him aside and told him, that was awesome, but please don't do that again.
Yeah, never do it again. And I think going back to that, earlier in that inning, I think we decided that you can't jinx a player into a positive outcome. But I don't know. That seemed like the result of a jinx right there. All right,
there we go. Now we got some movement coming out into the Michigan bullpen as bodies moving out there. It looks like that is the two backup catchers, Harrison Salter and Casey Buckley, moving out to the bullpen. Looks like there may be someone getting ready. There's a couple out and walking, but I don't think anyone's throwing.
We're now getting an official announcement for how that unfolded.
Indeed, the Jesse Franklin saga getting a bit of an update from the official scorer.
So it's been changed to E3, not E6. So that will, I guess, be important for the Maryland locker room, sorting out where the blame lies. But
indeed, an error on Michael Costas. And now it will be Benjamin Cowles in the batter's box. Tommy Henry, the first pitch, swung on and fouled straight back at us a little bit to the left.
If that was 15 feet more to the right, we probably would have lost this broadcast.
We would have lost this broadcast. We also probably would have lost Falco falling down into the seats below.
And a very nice Microsoft Surface I've grown familiar with over the past year and a half of calling games here with WCBN. This Surface has been a lot of places with me, New York even.
Indeed.
It would be tragic to lose that.
Indeed, Austin Falco at the tail end of a long and illustrious career at WCBN Sports. And count now 1-1 as the 0-1 delivery taken for a ball by Benjamin Cowles, and Tommy Henry comes set, the 1-1 delivery, swung on and launched into center field. That one going a long way, ultimately not too long, and a routine play for Jesse Franklin coming in to get the first out and actually throws the cutoff throw over Akeo Thomas's head. Thankfully, nobody was on base.
And to get everything straight, so did they take away the stolen base for Franklin? Did he just advance home on an error? Is that the official ruling?
Yes, that is what they are saying. Jesse Franklin is 4 for 4.
Still 4 for 4. So maybe we counter jinxed it again, and he no longer gets credit for that.
I don't think Franklin cares because he scored.
Yeah, but the error definitely occurred before. He was halfway to third when the error occurred, so I think that's the right call.
Chris Aline stepping into the batter's box, and Aline squaring around to bunt and fouls it straight back. And
not sure what the strategy is here. Bunting with no one on, but
bunt for a hit.
Yeah.
As Chris Aline hitting 229 on the season, has some speed, 6 for 7 stolen bases.
Okay, that makes more sense now. If he figures that's how he's most likely to get on here.
We are bottom of the 5th inning as Henry comes set, the 0-1 delivery, swung on and fouled down the first base line. And Tommy Henry finds himself out in front 0-2. And the stat broadcast here at TD Ameritrade Park taking its time to update. Obviously, the official scores over there are also very confused by what happened last inning. Can't really say I blame them.
Not at all.
And Henry comes set. The 0-2 delivery from the windup is high, ball 1.
Yeah, they have not updated it since Franklin scored. That third run got in, and they are still taking their time to exactly sort it out. Austin Falco has been filling out the scorecards so far all throughout the game, and I'm sure that one must be like a kid with a new coloring book on Christmas, trying to figure out how that one gets sorted out.
And the 1-2 delivery fouled behind the Wolverines dugout, and there will be a Husker fan making a play on the ball.
Yep, that one also landing about 30 feet in front of us here in the second deck. congrats to him and that ball he'll be taking home.
And 1-2 delivery again from Henry. It is check swing. Did not go around, says first place umpire Jim Shaley. And the count is evened up at 2.
Fouling a couple off, Aline is able to stay alive in this at-bat. We'll see. Probably not going to bunt now at this point, but we'll see if he can get on base. Not.
Aline, the 2-2 delivery swung on and fouled back into the netting behind him.
So Aline staying alive in this one. Only, the 228 batting average on the season. Gets a lot of singles, so we'll see what he can do here.
And Henry comes set. The 2-2 delivery, and another one fouled over the netting, this time by Chris Aline. And the at-bat will continue.
And basically all these fouls going straight back toward us. So I guess if Aline does get up to bat again in this game, which he should be up by at least the 8th, Falco better be ready to chase those foul balls. They're coming our way.
Now the 2-2 delivery is taken inside, and Henry has used his waist pitch. That one high inside by the Maryland on Chris Aline's chest.
And he works his way down from 0-2 back up to 3-2 now, maybe like 6 pitches later.
And Henry, the payoff pitch on its way, and it is another foul ball straight back.
And it hit an Iowa fan right in the hand, ends up ricocheting off into the hands of a Nebraska fan.
That's a fitting retelling of what happened earlier today between the Huskers and the Hawkeyes, with Nebraska winning in a mercy rule shortened game by a score of 11-1 in the bottom of the 8th inning. And now payoff pitch again from Tommy Henry, and a called strike 3
and
on the outside corner, and Aline not happy.
Not at all. He took a couple steps toward first before being informed by the umpire that was ruled a strike. Did all that work to get back up 3-2 in the count, and then all for naught ends up striking out looking.
And now it will be A.J. Lee will come back up, the Terrapins leadoff hitter, as well as leader in average, hitting .304, the only Terrapins hitter to hit over 300 on the season.
And stat broadcast just updated. It is 4-0 now officially. The play that caused all that delay has long since gone through its filter.
And the first pitch is a called strike 1 over the heart of the plate, and Tommy Henry lost his hat during the delivery.
Yeah, landed right at his feet. Interesting pitch right there, but so we won't have the exact stat broadcast explanation of what happened yet, but they took their time. I'm sure they got it right.
Not the hat falling off, not quite as ominous as Tommy Henry falling off the mound a couple weeks ago against Indiana. Now the 0-1 delivery is taken outside for a ball.
1-1 here as Henry is working his way toward a 1-2-3 inning potentially. A.J. Lee maybe being his last victim.
And Henry towing the rubber. Comes set. Taking his time. And now here he comes. Enters his motion from the windup. And it is a called strike 2, the off-speed pitch, freezing A.J. Lee.
So one pitch away now from that 1-2-3 inning. A.J. Lee, the best batter for Maryland with a .306 batting average. As mentioned earlier, their lone hitter batting above 300.
And now Henry comes set. Wolverine starter, the 1-2 delivery is swung on, and it will be muscled into left field. Base hit for A.J. Lee, his second of the day.
Thought about going to second there and slowly skimpers back to first just now. And I suppose I'll take credit for the jinx there on Tommy Henry. Mentioned a 1-2-3 inning, mentioned the fact that A.J. Lee is the best batter for the Terrapins, and that was, of course, a recipe for disaster. As he gets on base, I'm not sweating it quite yet, though, as Michigan still leads 4-0 with only a man on first and 2 outs here in the bottom of the 5th. But so far, hard to say that the bottom half of this inning has lived up at all to the craziness of of the first half. However, that got crazy with 2 outs too, so perhaps I've spoken too soon yet again.
And Randy Bednar stepping into the box, and the first pitch is outside for a ball. And A.J. Lee being held close at first by Jimmy Kerr. Of course, for left-handed pitchers, as Drew Wilden found out, sometimes that pickoff throw to first base can be a bit challenging. Henry comes set, eyes Lee over at first base. The 0-1 delivery swung on, and it will be launched high in the air, just to the left of foul territory. And a bit of a broken play there as Jack Blomgren ranging over, called off Blake Nelson trying to make it, and crashed into third base umpire Dave Condon.
And there you go. There's that craziness we were talking about. That's something else. I rarely ever see anything like that. Someone yelled, "Throw him out." I'm referring to the umpire. I think that's from the Michigan section.
It is, yep.
Yeah, wanting to throw the ump out.
But Henry once again burned by some bad luck. Very well would have been the end of the inning. I don't know if Nelson just missighted it or Blomgren saw it and called him off. Either way, Blomgren colliding with Dave Condon, and Nelson looking over at Blomgren, not watching the ball, and the ball will ultimately fall harmlessly.
And Nelson was definitely covering his eyes from the sun. He was struggling to find that one in the sun.
1-1 delivery. Donovan the throwback to first base, and A.J. Lee able to get back in time.
Rule the ball, so that'll make it 2-1 in the count.
Indeed. Henry finding himself behind in the count 2-1. Henry's pitch count now up to 87 on the day through 4 2/3. Not what you want to see. Eric Bakich may have to break out his bullpen a little earlier than he would have preferred. 2-1 delivery from Henry. And another one outside, 3-1. And it looks like they don't want to take chances with A.J. Lee. Henry now in danger of losing Randy Bednar to a walk.
And the good news for Michigan is that once you get through Andy Lee, there's not much danger left to be done.
And Bednar, this one launched deep into left field, out to the warning track, and that ball is gone. And Maryland takes advantage of the botched foul ball play, and the score, and Maryland cuts Michigan's lead in half. The score now 4-2.
And, well, I was just about to say Lee was responsible for two of Maryland's 3 hits, and the third one, as we discussed, I really thought should have been an error. Right there, though, Bednar knocks that one way out into the left field, well above the Maryland bullpen, and we've got a game on our hands again.
And perhaps a bit unfair to Tommy Henry. It looks like both of those runs will be counted as earned.
Yeah, well, and if the stakes were, I mean, that was such a bizarre play. They're colliding with the umpire on the third base line. I mean, if that were higher stakes, that could go down in the same infamy as the Steve Bartman catch, with just a bizarre incident. Sorry to bring that up with Austin Falco in the booth, diehard Chicago Cubs fan, but it's over now. That doesn't matter anymore.
Henry has to refocus. Check swing, foul back off the hilts of the bat of Taylor Wright. But suddenly Maryland is back in this game.
And the crazy end of that top of the 5th inning is now so much more significant. That's the difference in this game.
Indeed, as both teams beset by bizarre defensive plays. And now the 0-1 delivery taken low and inside for a ball, and Tommy Henry all of a sudden struggling to find the strike zone.
Yep, it might be time to go back to that bullpen. We saw catchers jogging off to it to start this inning. Doesn't look like anyone's warming up right now. But Henry might have had his 5 innings today, and that might be an it for him. 4 2/3 so far.
Henry comes set. From the windup, the 1-1 delivery swung on and missed, and Tommy Henry 1 strike away from putting a bizarre 5th inning behind him.
And now he did get to 2 strikes on the last 2 batters, who both then got hits, so not out of the woods yet in what I expect will be his last appearance at the mound today.
Michigan shifting over to the right. Nelson way off the line, right halfway between second and third. And now the 1-2 delivery swung on and missed, and this inning is history. And Tommy Henry has completed 5 innings, however. It's taken him 93 pitches. Could very well be done. But now as the grounds crew out to remanicure the infield after one of the most bizarre innings of baseball you will ever see. Both teams score 2 in the 5th inning. The score stands at Michigan 4, Maryland 2 through 5. And once again, we'd like to thank you very much for listening to WCBN Sports coverage of Michigan baseball.
And I think Tommy Henry is done for the day. And I think he knows it. He kind of stormed off the field in a little bit of anger. Actually left teammate Joe Pace hanging. The redshirt junior, he didn't respond with a high five and just kind of angrily shook his hands as he entered the dugout. Almost, he was an out away from, and just that bizarre foul ball situation not going down, and from a 4-0 lead. Both teams, I do have to say that Maryland has to feel a bit more unlucky with the way things went down, although if not for their bizarre error, Michigan probably still scores one more run. For Michigan, just running into the umpire like that, resulting in a 2-run, and ultimately 2 runs on what should have been a routine fly ball, that has to sting. Didn't quite visually look as bizarre, but just 5 minutes ago, it looked like Michigan was going to be pretty safe and be a good bet to be playing on Saturday. Still up 2 runs, but not feeling nearly as good as they were just 1 out ago.
And Drew Wilden back out on the mound for the Terrapins after it looked a moment like he was going to be yanked. Instead, Rob Vaughn opting to keep the lefty reliever in, as gave up 2 runs, neither one of them earned due to errors in the field. And now it will be Blake Nelson leading off the top of the 6th.
And that's a bit of a blow to our theory that the decision to put Wild in was made off of his handedness, because he faced both Michigan lefties in that inning, and now it's a bunch of righties up until, well, Franklin will be the 4th batter in this inning, so we'll see if maybe that was part of the calculation.
And the first pitch to Blake Nelson is taken high for a ball.
And Maryland still does have a pitcher warming up way out in left field. I believe that's Nick Turnbull, as they announced earlier.
Nick Turnbull. And the 1-0 delivery swung on by Nelson and muscled into shallow right field, and Michigan gets another base runner. Blake Nelson took a big turn, ultimately turned back at first.
Hey, if he learned a lesson from last inning, might as well make them try to throw to the basement. If something goes crazy, then boom, you got a free base right there. Really well hit ball right there, just perfectly placed to softly land a little bit beyond
and
the outfield.
Rob Vaughn comes out immediately, makes the signal to the bullpen. Drew Wilden's day is done.
And with Akeo Thomas up to bat now, and then Jordan Wogu following him, it's gonna be a tough task to face now for the next Maryland pitchers. Michigan has now started 4 of 6 innings with getting a man on base.
And Drew Wilden saunters back to the Terrapins dugout after quite possibly the most eventful 2/3 of an innings you will see from a pitcher. 3 hits, 2 runs, neither of them earned, 2 walks, a strikeout, and is responsible for Blake Nelson over at first base. And it is Nick Turnbull, the number 38 right-handed pitcher for the Terrapins. A junior will stand at the mound.
Making his first appearance in Omaha this year. So Maryland is digging pretty deep into the bullpen right now, which is one thing. So this is Maryland's 4th pitcher. No way of knowing this yet, but we both expect Michigan will start next inning with their 2nd pitcher.
Indeed, however, nobody's throwing up in the Michigan bullpen. You could, between innings, you could see Isaiah Page bouncing a ball off the wall. Looked like he may be getting up, but really no action. They're just kind of standing around out there, so could very well see Tommy Henry at least to the first couple batters at the bottom of the 6th. And now Turnbull standing at the mound, just delivering some warm-up pitches. Tall, rangy right-handed pitcher.
6'4", so we'll see what that can do. I believe the tallest we've seen so far today. I don't know how much of an impact that will have, but that does mean he stands a full 9 inches. Finally got the math done. 9 inches taller than Akeo Thomas.
And Akeo Thomas, the Wolverines senior 2nd baseman, will now step back up to the box. He was standing up there before Rob Vaughn came out and made the signal to the pen for a new pitcher. And now Akeo Thomas will move to the batter's box for real this time. And Akeo Thomas taking a second to gather himself and now has moved into the box as Turnbull toes the rubber. Takes the signal as Eric Lovelace motions for play to continue. And the first pitch to Thomas. Thomas squares around a bunt, able to pull away for the low outside pitch. And Thomas finds himself out ahead in the count 1-0.
As you saw Maryland third baseman Taylor Wright start sprinting in toward Thomas when he showed signs of bunting, trying to advance that man into scoring position.
Thomas squaring around again. This time pulls away again, but a called strike one.
And once again, Taylor Wright very eager to rush toward home plate and be ready for an Akeo Thomas bunt. And I mean, he's standing in the grass here in the infield, about 6 feet in front of third base.
And Akeo Thomas looking over at Eric Bakich, a bit of confusion between the signals, perhaps whether telling him to square around a bunt again or not. And 1-1 delivery. Thomas squares around again. This one he gets it down the first base line. Nelson will move over to second base without a lot of trouble. Well-placed bunt, but Akeo Thomas sent down. And now one away in the inning, and Blake Nelson stands on second base, a runner in scoring position for Jordan Wogu.
And yet a very well-placed bunt, basically rolls along the first base line, but a bit too much heat on it, gets to the pitcher a bit too quickly for an easy out. Nonetheless, achieves the main goal of advancing the runner to second for the top of the lineup with 1 out, 1 on here in the top of the 6th.
We do not have our anti-bunt club representative Austin Falco with a headset on right now, so we will ask him about that next inning when he comes in.
Now, I like the explanation I heard in the press box here last year for why bunting is more acceptable in college.
And now taking off for third is Nelson, and Nelson is safe at third base
and
as the throw off target.
He very nearly got a free trip home. I mean, that was an athletic move there by Taylor Wright to even get to that ball and prevent it from rolling into the outfield.
Taylor Wright having to lay out to make that play, but now Eric Bakich pulling out all the stops on the base paths. Blake Nelson now 13 for 13 stolen bases on the season.
And that's why I think bunting in college can be more beneficial, because the fielding is not always great. You very nearly saw a free walk home for Nelson right there with a near air at third. When the fielding isn't so hot, then you can justify bunting a bit more, I think, as we've seen a couple times today.
And the first pitch to Wogu that Nelson ran on was a ball. The second one was a strike. So now infield playing in the 1-1 call and called strike 2 on Jordan Wogu. Now Maryland will take it easy as Terrapins afraid of a potential squeeze play. Jordan Wogu, of course, can hit the ball to all areas of the park, including not incapable of getting that ball down. But now 1-2 very likely will try to square the ball up. 1-2 delivery is taken low and outside, and the count is evened up at 2. Nelson will retreat back to third base.
And Nelson is getting a good leadoff on that third base. If Wogu can just get any air under this ball and deliver it 200 feet or more, that should be one more insurance run for the Wolverines.
Indeed. Now the sacrifice is on with 2 strikes. The 2-2 delivery swung on by Wogu and launched high in the air. That one will not even get out of the infield, as easy play there by Benjamin Cowles. And all of a sudden 2 away, and Jesse Franklin will step to the plate. Yep. Jordan Wogu not able to send his third baseman home.
That one might have traveled 200 feet in the air, but not doing any risk of a sacrifice fly when the infielder could throw that ball home in about a quarter of a second.
And now Franklin will step into the left-handed batter's box. Lefty-righty matchup advantage to Jesse Franklin. Nick Turnbull, the delivery swung on and missed. Jesse Franklin on the breaking ball, and all of a sudden he is down 0-1.
Any kind of hit here should bring a run home, so I don't expect Franklin to be swinging for the fences right now, but solid contact, and he should get an RBI.
And the 0-1 delivery, low and in the dirt. And just like that, the count is evened up at 1. And for any Tigers fans listening, do not believe Nick Turnbull is related to current Tigers starting pitcher Spencer Turnbull. That would be cool, though.
Yeah, not a lot of Turnbulls out there, so
Indeed. Turnbull, the 1-1 delivery to Franklin is taken high and outside. And Franklin out ahead in the count again, 2-1.
Walk wouldn't be too detrimental here for the Terrapins. Could at least get a force out should there be any kind of shallow ball hit in the near future.
And the 2-1 delivery, another breaking ball. Franklin swinging on another one. And the count is evened up at 2. Jesse Franklin, that's the second time in this at-bat that he's gotten out in front of an off-speed pitch. And now Turnbull comes set. 2-2 delivery to Franklin is taken low in the dirt, and the count is worked full. Jesse Franklin, one pitch away from either stranding Blake Nelson at third or setting runners at the corners for Jordan Brewer.
And should Michigan end up losing this lead, that will be the story of the game, is the runners they left on base. Quite a few at this point. Don't have the exact number pulled up right now, but...
all of them.
Austin Falco tells me 6.
Turnbull comes set, payoff pitch, and another one low inside in the dirt, and Jesse Franklin gets a free pass. And Michigan now has runners on the corners with 2 outs, and Jordan Brewer stepping up to the plate.
And that ups the ante here now to either be 8 runners left on base or another RBI here for the Wolverines. The Big Ten Player of the Year could decide that here. Struck out both of his last 2 appearances. We'll see what he has in store right now for the .343 hitter.
And now Brewer standing in the box. Turnbull comes set. The first pitch of the at-bat is swung on by Brewer and fouled back to the Maryland dugout. And Turnbull finding himself out ahead in what will be a very pivotal at-bat, 0-1. Of course, Turnbull does have a free base to give, but the way Jordan Brewer's played this tournament, that's not a free base you want to use.
No. And, I mean, 1 run is not going to be the end of the world here for Maryland, but bases loaded could be a problem.
0-1 delivery, fouled straight back to the net by Jordan Brewer. And Brewer still just doesn't appear to be seeing the ball well at all.
Getting way behind in yet another at bat so far today. He's looking at he's very seriously in danger right now of a 3rd consecutive strikeout.
And now the 0-2 delivery to Brewer and gets out in front of it, swung on and missed, and Michigan strands a runner at third as Michigan's lead remains at 2 runs. The score, Michigan 4, Maryland 2, after a Jordan Brewer's 3rd consecutive strikeout. You are listening to WCBN Sports coverage of Michigan baseball at the Big Ten tournament here at TD Ameritrade Park in Omaha, Nebraska, as Tommy Henry will step back out to the mound to at least to start the bottom of the 6th inning, but it does look like Isaiah Page is warming up in the bullpen. Could very well see him in a matter of minutes.
So while there's really never been any reason for panic so far today, unlike basically the entire game yesterday, the Wolverines are not out of this one. I mean, they held a 4-run lead for 2 outs worth of play before surrendering that. Unlike when they were down 3-0 for a considerable stretch of time, down 4-3 late in that game yesterday. They're not out of this one yet. They should know that. They led almost the whole Ohio State game before surrendering 2 runs late. No sense of urgency at all, I'd have to say, but their tournament could end today and potentially their season. I do think they did enough to secure a bid, improve their RPI to 41 yesterday with the win over Illinois, who is ranked quite favorably with RPI. That'll be big with the rankers. Of course, you have to look out for any bid stealers. Perhaps Creighton, of course, home to Omaha, were to lose in their conference tournament, they could get knocked out. East Carolina, who's 5th in RPI, lost in the first round of the American Athletic Conferences tournament. So the thing is, if Michigan keeps winning, that's not going to be a question. Not going to have to worry about that. Have to be careful here, though, as they've had many opportunities to kind of run away with the game. Got pretty fortunate with what happened in the top of the 5th, then returned the favor with that collision with the umpire. It's not over yet. They still are 12 outs away from moving on to Saturday. We'll play at 9 a.m. tomorrow, should they win.
Henry standing at the rubber. Leading off for the Terrapins in this inning, Maxwell Costas. I believe earlier in the broadcast I called him Michael Costas. That was my mistake. And Henry comes set. The first pitch to Costas, swung on and missed. And Costas trying to power that one into the Terps bullpen. Ultimately not able to come away with it. And the count 0-1.
14 home runs on the year, and I think, yeah, he knew exactly what he was aiming for with that one. Ends up with a whole lot of nothing on that swing, though.
Now the 0-1 delivery from Henry swung on and fouled into the netting. Ultimately settles over by the Michigan dugout, and will be Jack Bredesen coming out to make a play on that ball. Looked like Riley Bertram was about ready to hop the fence. And Henry comes set. Enters the motion. The 0-2 delivery on the way to Costas and swung on and put in play. And a routine grounder over to Blomgren. He will launch it over to Jimmy Kerr, who will make the clean play. And Tommy Henry one away in the bottom of the 6th inning.
And there's some good fielding there by Michigan. They did have no errors technically on the day, although
they've had some bizarre moments.
Yes, but fielding has not costed them anything so far today. There was, the freak accident with the umpire, but that's its own category, I would call it. So right now, that isn't a difficult play, but it's an easy one to mess up. Staying ahead of the errors in this one and not letting that be the reason why they go home early.
And first pitch to Michael Pinero is grounded fouled on the first base line, as Tommy Henry finding himself out in another 0-1 count. Wolverines lefty still out there on the mound, as still some action out in the Michigan bullpen. Looks like Isaiah Page just working on some longer toss. Maybe a bullpen day for him. As Henry comes set. The 0-1 delivery is swung on and missed to the high fastball. Henry, second consecutive 0-2 count.
And this is really the section of the Maryland batting order that you don't want to give up anything to. After Costas, everyone is a 241 or lower batter. Not quite like the Michigan lineup where there's 300 and 280 batters sprinkled all throughout there. You really have to survive those first three batters who all bat 310, 290, and 291. They will have to...
0-2 delivery is swung on and launched into left field, and that's going to drop in front of Jesse Franklin, left center field rather, and Maryland will have a base runner.
And right there, that's sacrificing another hit to the weaker portion of Maryland's lineup. They are going to have to face that top three again some point in this game. The less hits they allow, the less likely they are to have to face Lee, Bednar, and Wright later in the game, maybe for a second time. So it's going to be this is not the part of the lineup that they can sacrifice runs to.
And now Justin Vogt will stand in the box. Vogt, third plate appearance today, striking out in the second and walking in the fourth as Donovan settles into his catcher stance.
Henry getting ready to...
And the first pitch from Henry is a swing and a miss by Justin Vogt, and another 0-1 count for Tommy Henry. And now a second pitcher up in the bullpen for Michigan, as the action getting a little bit more intense. Henry eyes Pinero at first. Comes set, and then squaring around to bunt is Justin Vogt, but ultimately not able to establish contact. It does not pull away, so third consecutive 0-2 count for Tommy Henry.
We'll see if he can retire him and get 2 outs on the board. Of course, surrendered 2 runs with 2 out and no one on at the end of last inning.
0-2 delivery is taken high and outside for a ball. I think more than anything, that pitch there, a waste pitch just to keep Michael Pinero honest over at first.
1-2 count. He still has a few balls to work with.
And Henry toes the rubber. From the stretch, the 1-2 delivery, another one high and inside. Count evened up at 2. Some derision from the Michigan crowd wanting a called third strike. Tommy Henry now thrown 103 pitches on the afternoon. Henry staring down Donovan. Now toes the rubber. Eyes Pinero at first. Comes set from the stretch. The 2-2 delivery, and that one another ground ball over to third base. Nelson flips it over to Thomas, and Thomas will not make the turn and get it over to Jimmy Kerr as Vogt. It was hightailing it down the first base line. Vogt will be safe at first, but either way, Michigan gets the lead runner at second base. And now 2 away in the bottom of the 6th. And now Tommy Henry will face Josh McGuire.
And that ball had, I think, every Michigan fans here their eyes wide, thinking that could be a double play ball to end the inning. But the ball had a bit too much bounce in it, doesn't quite quickly travel over toward third, and takes too long to get there, allowing Vogt to make it safe at first.
And that was actually a great defensive play by Blake Nelson. Blomgren was content to let that ball come to him. Had he done so, Maryland may well have had runners safe at both bases, and the first pitch to Josh McGuire is a ball.
And perhaps Nelson learned a bit of a sense of urgency after what happened in the last inning. Could have potentially caught that fly ball, instead let Blomgren take over for it, and then he had that tragic accident with the umpire.
Henry, the 1-0 delivery, called strike 1 to McGuire. And now we're looking at, might be an issue with the sun getting into Tommy Henry's eyes as the shadows moving across the pitcher's mound now.
Yep, you can see only his face is illuminated right now by the sunlight.
And Willie Weiss up and throwing in the bullpen for Michigan as the 1-1 pitch is a called strike 2.
So once again, 1 strike away from maybe ending this inning and preserving a 2-run Michigan lead for Tommy Henry.
And Henry comes set. 1-2 delivery, swung on and missed, and the 6th inning is history. And Tommy Henry, logically you have to imagine he's done now, right? 108 pitches through 6 innings, giving up 2 runs, and Michigan maintains their lead. And now through 6, going into the final third of the game, Michigan with Saturday to play for. The score, Michigan 4, Maryland 2. Once again, I'd like to thank you very much for listening to WCBN Sports coverage of Michigan baseball at the Big Ten Tournament at TD Ameritrade Park in Omaha, Nebraska. I will step out, and Austin Falco and Daniel Thompson will take you through the home stretch of this game.
Yes, I am back here for these last 3 innings of baseball. I missed the most eventful inning of the tournament, probably, for Michigan, unfortunately, there in the 5th.
Yeah, I mean, you unfortunately, we did have those technical difficulties yesterday, but you at least were fully aware to nothing else on your mind beside the game when you were able to watch that walk-off double by Jordan Wogu.
And we talked about me running out of this booth here for a foul ball. I might have jumped out of that booth yesterday. I came pretty darn close to jumping out of that booth yesterday after that Jordan Wogu double. Didn't really see that coming. We talked about how Jordan Wogu was struggling all tournament long and really hasn't done too much today. It's the top of the Wolverines order has been better than they had the first 2 days. All 4 runs being scored by the top 4 in the order. 3 out of those 4 reaching on walks, so still not a whole lot of production when it comes to hitting the ball. But
no, it's
still
actually
getting on base.
5-5 in terms of hits for both these teams. Now, I still am very critical of that Maxwell Costas hit that I do believe was an error, but as they're scoring in 5-5.
I think that's a fair enough hit there. The little trickler over to first base. Tough play, that little Bermuda Triangle area.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, sure, it doesn't necessarily feel like a solid hit, but you know
Yeah.
It looks like a line drive in the box score from Maxwell Costas, so he'll take it.
Yeah, sure, for sure. Does get his hit in, and yeah, it's still 5-5 when it comes to hits. So you could argue that pitching really has been the difference here for the Wolverines, not putting men on base without having to make contact with the ball.
It will be Jack Blomgren to lead off things here in the top of the 7th against Nick Turnbull, still in the game. Turnbull comes set, works exclusively out of the stretch from the first base side of the rubber. First pitch breaking ball to Jack Blomgren, bounces in front of the plate and past the catcher.
Yeah,
Counts 1-0.
That ball skipped about 2 feet in front of the home plate. That was a good warm-up here to start the inning.
You're just getting it out now, and then he'll now actually go and bear down and face Jack Blomgren.
Yeah, good time to let that one slide.
1-0 count on the Wolverines shortstop. Turnbull comes set. Pitch misses high and inside for ball 2 now. It's 2-0.
Still not great control there. I doubt that's where he meant to place that one, so we'll see if he can settle in here as the inning grows older.
Blomgren today 0 for 2. Walk, run, RBI on the day. Filling all the categories besides hit.
Oof.
He squares around here on 2-0 and it almost hits him in the foot as he dances out of the way, and the count's now 3-0. Michigan with a chance to get the leadoff runner on again here. You made a note, Daniel, about how often Michigan's getting the leadoff runner on here in this ball game. It's been just 2 innings in which Maryland has provided that out of the 6 so far.
And right now a ball away from making it 5. As long as Blomgren can avoid striking out, I mean, yeah, it'd be hard to get strike out here. I think he's going to be hesitant to swing at anything right now.
And he plunks him right on the elbow.
Yeah.
He was going to get on base anyway, and he gets a little pain for it, I guess.
Yeah, shows all that patience, not swinging on the first 3 balls, and then for nothing, he's going to get hit anyway.
Yeah.
Has to take a sting. Yeah, that's got to be the worst time to take a hit by a pitch when you're already up 3-0 in the count anyway. What was it all for? And I think that is going to end Turnbull's day. I mean, 4 consecutive pitches, not really close to the strike zone.
No, not at all. After he did strike out Brewer on 3 pitches to end last inning, that's not exactly a tall feat at this point, unfortunately, for the Wolverines. Yeah, going to the bullpen here. Looks like a lefty to face Jimmy Kerr. They will go to Sean Fisher, the sophomore left-hander. Fisher so far on the season has appeared in 24 ball games for the Terps. He's 2-1, 6.83 ERA. He does have a save on the season. Pitched in 29 innings total, struck out just 20, walked 11 batters. And hitters overall hit .331 against the left-hander for the Terrapins.
We'll see if he can fare any better than Turnbull there at the end of his day. I mean, yeah, three pitches not close to the batter's box, and then a 4th one just beaming Blomgren in the back. Can't do much worse than that, at least. As Michigan now, for 5 of the first 7 innings, puts them in on base to start. Only 4 runs, though. I mean, it's hard to complain about 4 runs through the first 6, but when you start innings like that, it's a bit underwhelming, and that will be the story if Michigan cannot seal the deal here and secure a game on Saturday and extend your illustrious WCBN broadcasting career.
Illustrious is putting it highly there. I don't know about that, but I will say Maryland on their 5th pitcher here. Michigan, the story in the first game of this tournament against Ohio State was runners left on base. They left 9 men stranded. Through the first 6 innings here, Michigan has left 8 on base. And certainly if they do not get out of this inning with a run after putting a leadoff runner on, could very well easily match that total from Wednesday's ball game. And as you said, Michigan ends up not pulling this ball game out. It will be the story of not only just this ball game, but the tournament in general, and probably the last couple of weekends. They did a lot against Indiana. When if they had beaten Indiana one time in that weekend series, or one more time rather, you'd be looking at a Big Ten championship team, #1 seed coming in here, and possibly in better position right now for the NCAA tournament at the very least.
And they wouldn't have to play Indiana either, with the way that, assuming that wouldn't change anything, and I doubt it would, with Michigan getting the 1 seed would have forced Indiana over to the Michigan spot in the bracket. So, and that would have forced the Huskers down to 6, so they wouldn't have to face the red-hot Cornhuskers right now.
Yeah, they would give it a little bit of time there. They'd have the Husker on the other side of the bracket. Yeah. Michigan is looking at Nebraska tomorrow if they're able to pull out this victory today, but you figure if you get to tomorrow, you're feeling pretty good as a Wolverine, and if you are able to get at least 1 game from the Huskers, probably securing your NCAA tournament spot. Lefty to lefty here, Fisher to Kerr. Fisher fires over to first to chase Blomgren back. Blomgren's back in standing. Looks like Maryland maybe expecting a bunt out of Kerr, the third baseman right, playing in on the grass. But middle infield, that double play deft for a ground ball up the middle. Kerr has struggled against lefties this season, so it wouldn't be the most surprising thing to see Bakich put on the bunt. And I think Maryland's trying to see if Kerr is going to square around as another pickoff throw to first. Chases Blomgren back. He's not taking a very big lead.
No, not at all. But as we've discussed several times now, Bakich has been very aggressive with his base runners, so can't really fault Maryland for playing it safe.
Blomgren's lead a little bit bigger this time as Kerr ropes one in down the right field line. Blomgren's going to round second and get into third easily. A throw by Bednar is actually going to go all the way through to third. But Blomgren's up there standing, runners at the corners, nobody out here in the 7th. Michigan is in business trying to add some insurance.
And masterfully done right there by Kerr. Blomgren could have not asked for better placement if he was looking to get to third, as that one just kind of slowly, not so slowly, but not too quick to roll down the first base line and make it a maybe 250-foot throw there from right field. Getting a man into third, standing up. And now Michigan, they had a man on third with one out last inning, could not bring home a run. Ended up getting runners on the corners for Jordan Brewer, who had his 3rd consecutive strikeout. Now runners on the corners with nobody out. They really have to bring a run home here, or they might start getting nervous.
First pitch here to Miles Lewis, swung on and missed for strike 1, and that's Kerr's 3rd hit of the ball game. 3 singles, all on the first pitch of his last 3 at-bats for Jimmy Kerr. First pitch swinging has worked out for the Michigan first baseman. He's over there on first base right now with his counterpart Costas holding him on. Blomgren's over at third, 0-1 count on Miles Lewis, who singled on the first pitch of his last at-bat. Came up empty on the first pitch this time, but then watches ball 1 to even the count up at 1-1.
The senior making the most of what could be his last at-bats of his career should the selection committee not look favorably upon the Wolverines.
So far, so good, as you're saying, yeah.
And he probably, with that, unless things go very poorly for the Michigan offense, has secured at least one more at-bat in his career.
Lewis hits one high in the air towards left center field. This should get the job done, I'm thinking, but the left fielder and center field both running in. It'll be Elaine who makes the grab and throws in. It's cut off on the infield by the first baseman Costas, and not going home is Blomgren on the play.
And I like that decision. With only one out now, you're probably going to get another chance to make it home. There's, a very select scenario where Blomgren does not make it back, and he's coming off now. I think a pinch runner is going to come in now.
We got at least a meeting over there for head coach Eric Backus trying to discuss what he wants to do here. Runners first and third, 1 out. I think that was another instance of the wind hurting the Wolverines. That ball kept traveling in towards left center field as opposed to hanging out in middle depth center, where Elaine probably wouldn't have had much of a running start to get anything behind the throw.
Yep, the wind is definitely blowing across the field from right to left. So with that ball initially angling to the right and then ends up being pushed toward the center, could have made a big difference there. Maybe would have brought Blomgren home. He might be regretting that decision should Michigan not get to the outfield at all in with the next two batters. Especially now with only one batter left to potentially have a sac fly. Still, I have to agree with Blomgren, who will stay on third.
So we had a 7-man meeting of the minds there. First base coach Michael Berdar and Jimmy Kerr on first base. Nick Schnabel and Jack Blomgren from over on third. It was Eric Backus, the batter Joe Donovan, and Jesse Franklin joined in just for the heck of it. We'll see what kind of play they have on here, first and third, with Joe Donovan at the plate. Maryland perhaps trying to figure that out as a pickoff throw over to first base. Awfully close to a balk there from Fisher. He is really towing that 45-degree line that allows you to throw to first instead of ruling it a stride towards home. Nothing going. Wolverines didn't really show anything on that pickoff move. Maryland still a double play depth up the middle, in on the corners. First pitch, Donovan squaring around a bunt, tries to lay it on the squeeze. Blomgren has to sprint back to third as Donovan just tipped it back into the glove of Vogt. That's 0-1. Donovan on the day, a walk in his first at-bat back in the second, but has since struck out and flew out. That's the Maryland bullpen. See if the signs change at all now that the squeeze play probably loses a bit of its surprise. Fisher comes set, lefty to righty. Swing again is Donovan, and he again fouls it off of Vogt.
And that should end the threat of the squeeze play. Is right there. I think all 4 infielders were in a stance ready just to sprint forward should they need to. A lot of mental back and forth right here, right now, as Michigan is trying to find anything they can to get that one more insurance run in and make it a 3-run game.
It's kind of crazy how a 3-run game feels so much more solid than a 2-run game.
Yeah,
especially at a point like this.
Especially when you're up 4-0 for a brief second.
0-2 pitch, line drive into left field, base hit for Joe Donovan. Blomgren comes home to score, and there's your 5th run of the ball game for Michigan. They lead 5-2.
And no questions about that at all. The second that was hit, you knew that was a run batted in. Unlike maybe some of the mind games Michigan had playing earlier, if they're going to go for a bunt, sac fly. That was an easy one right there. Easy call for Blomgren. You can jog home with that. 3-run lead, and I think it is so big because Michigan has basically been leading by 2 runs this whole game. Got off to a 2-0 lead early in the first inning, and then Cruz got up 4-0, and then quickly made it 4-2 again. So Michigan now with a new sense of confidence they really haven't had at all up in this game. Have never had a more than 2-run lead with less than 2 outs while up to bat. So that can maybe change up their tactics here just a little bit.
Blake Nelson up to the plate now. He's been on base a couple times. The hit by pitch and a single in this one. First pitch here is a ground ball that goes through the legs of the catcher Vogt. Both runners going to move up into scoring position now. And the double play ball not in effect for Maryland anymore. Things going sideways in this inning for Fisher and the Terps. I believe that should be thrown a pass ball. They might rule it a wild pitch. Haven't gotten the official ruling yet. But I tend to give it to a pass ball when the catcher lets the ball go right through his 5-hole like that. It is officially a wild pitch on Sean Fisher, and it might be the end of the day for him, is making the slow walk out to the mound. I believe that is Rob Vaughn again. Might see the 6th Maryland Terrapin pitcher today. Sean Heine is warming up in the bullpen. And
they really cannot afford to. I mean, obviously, there's no point if they don't win this game to preserve arms. But should they advance and have to play Nebraska, who has looked by far head and shoulders the best team of this tournament so far. I mean, they're going to be in deep trouble. They're going to have to rely on either very deep in the rotation arms or tired arms for the Huskers. But whatever it takes to win this game, you got to take it one game at a time. Maryland is a team, though, they're going to have to win the whole. They're probably going to have to win the whole thing if they are to advance. I believe they are 65th in RPI as of this morning.
Yeah, they're not really a shot for them making the tournament as an at-large. You have to win this tournament.
Yeah, technically one outside of being in the top 64, but you know some smaller conferences will put in some teams that were much further behind in RPI, and there will be some bid stealers along the way. So typical one-bid conferences that put in 2. So Maryland is going to have to at least beat Nebraska if they are to make it. Meanwhile, for Michigan now, the sac fly is back in play, as there is runners on second and third with 1 out.
The meeting of the minds on the mound breaks up, and again, I feel like Michigan has to get Jesse Franklin to the plate in this inning because he has been at he's been essentially at Eric Bakic's hip. Every time Bakic goes out to talk to someone, Jesse Franklin's right there in that whole conversation. He is rearing to go in this ballgame today. Finally, he's gotten on base a few times, kind of breaking a cold streak for him. Maryland's got the infield in with a couple runners in scoring position, and Blake Nelson fouls it right off the catcher Vogt. I think that got him right on that bare right arm. He's in pain there as Eric Lovelace will walk out to the mound to hand Sean Fisher a new baseball and give his compadre back there, Vogt, a little chance to shake off that bare arm that just took that foul ball. So the count's going to be 1-1 on Nelson. Maryland obviously wanted to limit the damage here. Keep it a 3-run ball game if they can. A ground ball in the infield. Most certainly he will either be coming home if Kerr decides to go or taking the out at first. Spin back towards second just to reset there from Sean Fisher. There's no one covering second given the infield is in.
The whole infield has their toes on the grass right now. Looking very concerned about that potential squeeze play right now.
Way Blake Nelson swung the bat today. I don't think a squeeze play is necessarily in order for Eric Bakic, but he surprised me before.
We'll see what he drew up here. It's Michigan with a chance to add 1 or 2 more runs in a heartbeat.
Fisher again spinning back towards second and resetting on the mound.
And there's just not much of a threat there when the second baseman is further from the base than, and the shortstop as well are both further from the base than the runner.
I think what he's really trying to do is see if Nelson squares around on the leg lift. Doesn't seem like Nelson's going to. He keeps looking to the keeps looking in the dugout for signs from head coach Eric Bakic. He gets some looks down at his belt where he's got his play sheet. Kerr looks at his belt. Blomgren on second Donovan wears his right on his arm. So they'll check what Eric Bakic is calling. Sean Fisher's ready for a 1-1. It's on its way, and it misses low and away, ball 2.
2-1 count here, and bases loaded could be a I mean, it's not a typical, end game situation where you might want to load the bases to try to get the force out because it's a 3-run game. 1 run isn't going to break the back, but three or four runs really will. So
It would set up the double play ball.
yeah, that's true, but I don't think it's quite worth it with with a 3-run deficit.
2-1 pitch on the way. The bunt is on, and Nelson bunts it back behind the plate and not happy with himself as he
No.
smacks the bat on the dirt, and it's 2-2. Suicide squeeze at that also, as Nick Hornberg points out. Jimmy Kerr was running home on the play, essentially trailing the third baseman, Taylor Wright. That ball had gone towards right. It would have been a race home between the flip of Wright and Jimmy Kerr's feet.
Well, that's probably out of the question now. We'll see if Nelson can just dig into this one.
Donovan tried to bunt and had 2 strikes on him before he singled the left in his at-bat. Nelson's got 2 strikes on him now as Fisher fires a 2-2 pitch. Line drive towards right center field. Isn't going to fall in front of the right fielder, Bednar. It will not, but Bednar catches it. Coming home is Kerr. The throw goes to third. Kerr's going to score. Sacrifice fly. Michigan leads 6-2 now.
And matching their largest lead of the day, up 6-4 now, and that feels a lot more comfortable knowing no one at bat can tie this game up. And they can, as I alluded to earlier, that Maryland they have 3 really solid hitters. You could, in theory, give up a home run to all 3 of them, and still be up. So that is a comfortable place to be in. It's Akeo Thomas now, bottom of the lineup, comes to bat with 2 out now. So sacrifice is out of play, but a runner in scoring position.
He did call out before the Nelson at bat the sacrifice fly, or rather during that Nelson at bat the sacrifice fly was back in play, and Blake Nelson did exactly that. Not moving up was Donovan. He stayed at second over there as the throw from Bednar was a strong one towards third. First pitch to Akeo Thomas misses low, maybe a bit outside as well, and the count is 1-0 on the Wolverine second baseman.
Nelson, the senior, gets an RBI in helping and helps to ensure that will not be his final at bat. Akeo Thomas now can maybe return the favor for Nelson. Well, he
almost feels like he's done enough already.
Yeah.
Second pitch to that bat here to Thomas. Also misses low and away, and it's 2-0 now on Akeo Thomas. Thomas today 0 for 2, strikeout, flyout. Also had a sacrifice bunt last inning that ultimately didn't lead to a run for the Wolverines. Something they thought they might grow to regret, but with another 4-run lead here in the late innings, feeling a little bit better. You never want to strand runners, but if you can cash in enough runs, you feel all right about stranding some runners. 2-0 pitch misses low. It's 3-0.
Most things feel all right with a 4-run lead, but I don't think that collision with the umpire around third will ever quite feel great for the Wolverines. But
Never really going to let that one sink in, I don't think. I know Jack Bredesen in the dugout was really talking to home plate umpire Eric Loveless after that about that call. Not happy with it at all. As the 3-0 pitch catches the outside corner, it's 3-1. Bredesen not out in the bullpen. He's been in the dugout with the team for a good stretch of this season. He didn't get any official word from the team, but he may have been or suffered some sort of injury or just not being used very much, the senior out of Heartland, Wisconsin, but is doing his part to try to help the team. Getting on the umpire, sure. That play. 3-1 pitch from Akeo Thomas hit high in the air towards left center field. Ranging over is Pinero in towards the gap, and he makes the grab, fighting the sun. A tough catch and a good play by Pinero to end the inning. But Michigan does score 2 runs that inning. They do it on 2 hits, no errors, and they leave 1 runner left on base. It's time for the 7th inning stretch here at TD Ameritrade Park. Michigan leads Maryland by a score of 6-2. You're listening to the official student radio broadcast of Michigan baseball here on WCBN Sports. We'll get a little take me out to the ball game here in Omaha for you.
With all maybe 1,500 fans strong.
And so it's the end of the day here for Tommy Henry. Henry's final line in a very good outing for the Wolverines today. 6 innings pitched, 5 hits, 2 runs. Both of those were earned. Walked just 1 batter, struck out 7 on the day. Did hit a batter as well. through 108 pitches, did exactly what Eric Bakich wanted him to do, go decently deep in this ball game, give Michigan an early lead as they show his strikeouts on the screen right now at TD Ameritrade Park. He gives way to Isaiah Page, who made his way onto the rubber here. Page on the year has appeared in 20 games for the Wolverines, started 4 of them. He's 4-0, a 2.47 ERA. Also, it's a save when he went a few innings in a midweek game. 40 innings pitched on the year, just 21 strikeouts, but even more minuscule, the 8 walks he surrendered in those 40 innings. And batters hit 209 against him. Soft contact, the name of the game for Page, except for over the last few weeks, he's become a strikeout pitcher as well, really developing in his redshirt freshman season after having to sit out last year because of an injury. He'll get the 8, 9, and 1 hitters in the Maryland lineup: Cowles, Elaine, and Lee.
And he's definitely going to want to make sure that Lee has no batters on, no runners to potentially advance. The senior who leads off for the Terrapins is a 310 hitter, 2 for 3 on the day too. So he's going to want to do his best to put no pressure, or as little pressure as possible, for when AJ Lee is up to bat.
Yeah, Tommy Henry did a good job. He started off with this exact combination twice in this ball game, as this one is fouled up off near the booth over here, but ultimately landing in front of us, so the count is 0-1.
And that was about directly in front of us. If that had maybe 5 more feet in the air back toward us, then he could have just grabbed that out of thin air without
reach
even
out there and grab that
yeah,
one.
wouldn't even have to reach for it that
Page
much.
works quickly. Another breaking ball fouled off near us. Not quite as close, but still in this upper deck over here. Count is 0-2.
Takes a bunch of funny bounces before rolling to a Nebraska fan.
But Page works fast, does work out of the windup, unlike you see out of some guys out of the bullpen. The leader kid eventually got it, I'm going to assume, with the round of applause. 0-2 pitch from Page, fouled off to the right side. That'll get into the seats as well. Who's going to get this one? Mad dash to a empty section. Husker fan on the phone gets it.
Yep.
And gives it to a kid.
Who looks like he's wearing a Michigan shirt. That's a lot of maize and blue, at least on the T-shirt. That went pretty close to a Little League team that all in the same yellow shirt got up and was ready to chase after that one.
0-2 pitch, bounced in the dirt here by Page. Tried to get Cowles to chase, and he did not, so it's 1-2. Mentioned Page, not a huge strikeout pitcher. Has really upped the strikeouts in the last month or so of the season, but ultimately relies on that soft contact. He's got some foul balls. 1-2 pitch, breaking ball, misses down. It's 2-2. Cowles is 0 for 2 today with a strikeout and a flyout. As I mentioned, Henry started off with him in each of his 2 at-bats. He was leading off an inning. Henry tired the first 2 guys before getting to A.J. Lee. It's a 2-2 pitch. Looks like a 2-seamer, misses low and inside. Now it's full, 3-2.
Not exactly the way Page wanted to get back to after that 1-2 start.
Winding up, the payoff pitch. Fouled back over towards the Michigan dugout, out into the Michigan dugout. Count will remain 3-2. Long at-bat here to start Page's day as we pitch number 8 on the at-bat once it comes. The sun, again, a factor on the mound. The space between the lighting fixture, or rather between the overhang and the press box and upper deck, is now squarely on the mound as it's a ground ball towards short. Blomgren fields a routine ground ball and throws on the money to first base. 1 out in the 7th.
Once again, clean fielding, keeping Michigan away from really having to sweat it here, especially with those 2 insurance runs. Everyone's scoring in clips of 2 at a time. But
yeah, it's really the spirit of the day here.
Yeah. Good news for Michigan is that if they get out of this inning, Maryland can't get to more than 6 of them, mathematically speaking. If you assume that it's impossible to score more than 2.
More or less than 2.
Yes, exactly 2. That's all you can get.
Chris Aline, the center fielder, up to bat. First pitch from Page, swing and a miss at a breaking ball moving down and in. It's 0-1. Aline is also 0 for 2 on the day. Popped out in the 3rd, struck out looking after a long at-bat in the 5th against Tommy Henry.
And batting just a hair over 200 so far in the Big Ten tournament.
He takes a check swing and goes for sure past the plate, and is now down 0-2 against Page.
Page a pitch away from doing exactly what we set up was the mission for this inning. Have no one on base for when A.J. Lee comes up to bat.
The windup, 0-2 pitch. Swing and a miss, strike 3. Page sets down Aline for the 2nd time today. His first strikeout of the day for the right-hander. And there's 2 outs in the inning for A.J. Lee. As we mentioned, that's the goal.
And there you go with both of the goals he kind of set out for Page as he took the mound. Mentioned his typical style as a soft contact pitcher, but improving in the strikeout game. Right there, gets a little bit of both, getting the first batter out on a ground to the shortstop, and then retiring Aleem right there with 3 strikes. So good first 2 showings here for Page, as he now has a rougher pitch right there against the best batter for this Maryland Terrapins team.
Yeah, that breaking ball on the first pitch bounced in the dirt. Donovan backhanded it. It's 1-0, and you love the gamesmanship right now. Page is on the mound ready to throw. A.J. Lee taking his time. The senior knows how to get in the head of a freshman there and just kind of slow him down as Page fires another one in the dirt. It's 2-0.
Yeah, it seems like it's had an effect so far. A bunch of really good pitches to start the inning, and now 2 in the dirt.
And something I do want to make sure I can note before we wrap up our time in Omaha for sure is I get to say in the dirt and mean it now. As opposed to Ray Fisher Stadium as a line drive down the left field line into the corner. A.J. Lee's going to have at least his 3rd single of the game, if not more, and he is going to cruise into second with a stand-up double here with 2 gone in the 7th.
And that ball was hit in the area that you start thinking is triple territory with the way it rolls across the foul line and into the corner here in the left field. And that's exactly why the mission was leave no one on base for A.J. Lee, who is now 3 for 4 on the day. The senior who leads up the batting order, 3 for 10 on the season, 750 today. He has been a menace for the Wolverines. Would be a 6-0 game had he not gotten on base 2 innings ago.
The senior from Millersville, Maryland, wants to prolong his career as much as possible. Randy Bednar, the sophomore batting behind him, wants to make sure he can do that for his senior out there on second base. He's already hit a 2-run homer today, and the first pitch by Page to Bednar is spiked. Joe Donovan can't find it behind the plate. Lee takes an aggressive turn at third, but Donovan ultimately locates it. And there'll be a runner on third after the wild pitch. 2 gone in the inning, 1-0 count on Bednar.
And Bednar, who has both of Maryland's RBIs right now, could easily make it 3 here. Just get the ball anywhere in play and get to first, and he'll have all 3 Maryland RBIs. And Michigan, once again, that 4 runs does feel nice, but they're not out of the woods just yet, and in a scary situation here with 2 out in the bottom of the 7th.
Bednar, the powerful sophomore right-handed hitter out of Bethesda, Maryland. 1-0 pitch to him, misses low and away. It's 2-0 now. Overall, on the day, he was hit by a pitch back in the first, flew out in the 3rd inning, and hit that 2-run homer in the 5th off Tommy Henry. Didn't catch whether it was a hanging breaking ball or fastball. Either way, it was belt high, and he belted it over the Maryland bullpen into the seats in section 125 out there. 2-0 pitch here, swing and a miss on a breaking ball low and away. A little over-anxious at that 2-0 pitch was Bednar. Good pitch from Page to get him to chase, and it's 2-1.
And you mentioned it, A.J. Lee did just a little bit to maybe get in Isaiah Page's head, and his pitches have looked just considerably worse since.
He started off cruising against Cowles and Aline, and then went down 2-0 on Lee before the double. Went down 2-0 on Bednar and just evened it up there with a called strike right at the knee on the outside corner. I don't think Bednar agrees with it, but he's going to have to deal with it as it's 2-2.
As it looks like Page might be settling back in here.
There is a little bit more action in the Michigan bullpen. No one throwing. I'm going to guess that's Willie Weiss, just from taking an educated guess on how Eric Bakish likes to use his pen. But Page is going to come set here. 2-2 pitch to Bednar. Tried to get him to chase on a ball low and away. He did not, and then out. It is full 3-2.
And with a walk, that would still, not put any runs in yet. And Bednar did his damage with a home run way out to section 125 there, which is a lot more empty than it will be in about 3 weeks. But there was a fan who got to that ball pretty quickly, I do recall.
3-2 pitch. Check swing on a ball low and away. Doesn't matter. Called strike 3.
And Bednar is not going to be happy about that one, as he's slightly in disbelief. Threw his bat as he thought he was on to first. And you mentioned the second strike. He did not necessarily agree with that one either. It's going to be a tough pill for him to swallow, as Maryland had a sign of life right there. Could have made it, cut at least back to a 3-point game, 3-run game. Now, don't make that mistake. You will get the...
Either way, we will head to the 8th inning now as Maryland does not score any runs. They get the 1 hit, the 2-out double, but cannot bring them around. No errors for the Wolverines. They still played a clean ball game in that department. Maryland leaves their 6th runner on base of the day, and we'll head to the 8th. 6-2 Michigan over Maryland. You're listening to the official student radio broadcast from Michigan Baseball here on WCBN Sports. Austin Falco alongside Daniel Thompson. You heard Nick Hornberg earlier. That's your crew for the rest of the weekend as long as Michigan wants to keep playing. We'll be here in Omaha enjoying what will hopefully continue to be gorgeous weather. There are some clouds in the sky right now. Not any dark clouds, but it's not quite as clear as it was when we started this ball game earlier on.
And the good news for Michigan is that they play, if they win, they play at 9 a.m. tomorrow, and that's before the rough weather is supposed to roll in around 1 or 2 p.m. on Saturday, maybe a bit later in the evening. It's in the forecast that there should be some scattered thunderstorms. I would be surprised if there were no delays at all during Saturday's gameplay. But for Michigan, it's unlikely to affect them while they're in play. Now they might have a second game if they do win the first game. It will be a rematch. Should Michigan win at 9 a.m. against Nebraska, it will be a rematch. Now, here's some advanced sabermetrics that favor Michigan in that matchup. As a Maze Huskers, like to call myself, splitting fandom between Michigan and Nebraska, my home state and my school. As a member of WCBN in games where I am in attendance as a media member for WCBN between Michigan and Nebraska, across all sports, mind you, Michigan is 3-0. Now, if you want to knock on wood for there, if you want to throw in just as a fan, that might be a little bit harder to make sure I have everything. But I was at Game 3 of the Michigan-Nebraska series last weekend, and Michigan won that one as well, the only one they won. So that puts up to 4-0, unless I'm forgetting anything. So the sabermetrics right there do favor Michigan in that one, and potentially the rematch game, should they have to play it.
We have advanced stats here on the WCBN broadcast, the Daniel Thompson Index, DTI. That's what we care about. RPI, forget about it. DTI is what matters.
The margin of victories, though, are insane for that, too. One of them being the Michigan-Nebraska football game from earlier this year, and I don't think I need to tell anyone how that one ended.
Sean Hine is the new pitcher for Maryland. He fires a first pitch breaking ball to Jordan Wogu. It's 0-1. Hine on the season thus far has appeared in 16 games, started one of them. He's 0-2, 10.47 ERA. Has pitched just 16 and a third innings. Struck out 8, walked 18 batters in those 16 and a third innings. The second pitch here to Wogu misses inside. It's 1-1. Batters overall hit 329 against the right-hander as well. He's a freshman out of Medford, New Jersey. Big boy, 6'5", 220 out there on the mound.
And he replaced a 6'4" pitcher, so they've got
size galore out there as Wogu watches a 1-1 pitch catch the knees. It's 1-2.
Wogu 0 for 3 today, one of only two other Wolverines to not get a hit so far. But I think he's done his fair share.
He did lead off with the walk back in the first inning and came around to score the first run of the game. Really set the tone for Michigan early on, as well as the walk-off hit yesterday. He watches a 1-2 pitch missed outside. It's 2-2 now.
How often do players have a walk-off game ender and then turn around the next day or the first batter of the whole game? Rarely do you see back-to-back at bats.
And then walks, too, after you just come off that success. He ropes one towards left field. It's slicing away from the left fielder, Pinero, and it will drop in front of him for a base hit here to start the top of the 8th inning. Michigan yet again with another leadoff runner on in this ballgame.
Jordan Wogu is going to improve on his stellar .332 batting average. When it goes a little bit down today with batting .250, and Michigan's at least hoping that he won't. If you told Michigan fans he's not going to bat again today, I think they'd probably be happy. No extra innings at least, although.
If you also told them A.J. Lee and Randy Bednar were not going to be batting today, that's when you're getting into serious happiness territory for the Wolverine fans. Specifically A.J. Lee.
Yes, he's done a lot of damage, but.
Jesse Franklin takes down and in on the first pitch he sees from Sean Hine, and it's 1-0. Will go threat to steal over there on first base. Looks down at his play sheet on his belt. First time I think he's on base without a lefty on the mound, so we'll see if he gets aggressive. Got a decent lead, not a big one. Not going here on the 1-0 pitch as Franklin watches a strike. It's 1-1. Franklin's seen the ball well today, something he hasn't really been able to say over the past few weeks. He's 1 for 2, singled back in the first, flew out in the third, and then has walked twice since then. Scored a couple runs on the day, has a stolen base, got hit in the head and allowed himself to score. Eventful day for Jesse Franklin as he takes a breaking ball right on the inside corner. It's 1-2. That's a good breaking ball there from Hine.
improved to 4 for 4 on the season with steals. For a second, it was 5 for 5 before it wasn't again. But
Where the official score stole one away from him. Not that he really deserved one on
No,
either
no.
of those, honestly.
Yeah, the second one was certainly an error.
He's down the count here, 1-2 to Hine. Right-hander, left-hander, Wogu going on the pitch, swing and miss on a breaking ball, down and in. Throw down to second is not in time as Wogu swipes second, but Franklin strikes out for the first out of the inning.
But Wogu is now, I guess, getting over that the walk-off double, moving on with his life and adding to his stat sheet otherwise. Now has a run and a steal recorded today, plus a hit.
And if you have any questions about how Jordan Brewer has been hitting thus far and seeing the ball, these should answer it. Christian Bullock pinch hitting for the 3-hitter and Big Ten Player of the Year for Michigan here in the 8th inning. Bullock, the left-handed hitting sophomore, or rather junior, takes the first pitch high and away. It is 1-0 on him. Bullock, the junior out of Chicago, Illinois, has seen time earlier in the season, but kind of evaporated during the middle of the year as the outfield of Lewis, Franklin, and Wogu Brewer became set with Wogu at DH. As Hine spins back and keeps Wogu close over there at second. We saw Bullock be the pinch runner in yesterday's ballgame, scored the winning run as Jordan Wogu drove him in. Looking to return the favor here with Wogu on second. Maryland shifted off to the right side. Second baseman Cowles is in right field. About 10 or 15 feet into that outfield grass. First baseman Costas is nearly out that way towards the grass. The shortstop, AJ Lee, holding the runner on, or else you'd imagine he'd probably be shifted over that direction as well. Bullock wide open stance. 1-0 pitch to him, high and away fastball. It's 2-0.
And two pitches, right? Both high and up to his left, making it easy for him not to swing on those. We'll see if Heine can settle in here more and have some pitches that might make Bullock think more.
Bullock in 62 at-bats this season, bats .274, .378 on base percentage. As he swings and ropes one towards center field, ranging over near the left center field gap is a lean. He's still going back, makes the grab in front of the track. Tagging on the play is Wogu. He'll go to third. Not technically a sacrifice fly because the run didn't score, but Bullock does move him over on a well-hit ball that at Ray Fisher Stadium might be some trouble in a gap.
Yeah, certainly at Ray Fisher that would have gotten at least pretty close to the warning track, or yeah, I mean that ball might have landed even the warning track here in TD Ameritrade Park had it not been caught. A well-hit ball for sure, and he might not get any credit for a sack or an RBI or anything, but might have just helped secure another run for the Wolverines. We'll see what Jack Blomgren can do to put that effort not in vain.
2 outs, Blomgren at the plate. He fouls one to the left side past Nick Schnabel over there at the third base coaching box. The count is 0-1 on the Wolverines shortstop. Blomgren on the day today, 0 for 2. He is a RBI ground out in the first, driving the second Michigan run of the day. He also flew out in the third, but has since walked and been hit by a pitch. Both of those times he came around to score. 0-1 pitch to him, breaking ball misses down and in, and now it is 1-1 on the sophomore, who's really been a revelation this season for Michigan. Started, I believe, every game last year as a freshman because of his defensive prowess, and has started every single game for Michigan this season, along with Jimmy Kerr, the only two Wolverines to do that. 1-1 pitch, breaking ball in the dirt. Nice stop by Vogt to prevent another run, and it's 2-1.
And speaking of Kerr, he is 3-for-4 for the day, and he is in the batter's circle warming up. Should Blomgren either bring home an RBI or just get on base, that's going to bring up a very hot bat to maybe drive in some more insurance for the Wolverines.
2-1 pitch to Blomgren. Fastball off the outside corner. It's 3-1, and yeah, just one pitch away now from potentially bringing up the Wolverines' hottest hitter in Kerr to the plate.
Only Wolverine actually with multiple hits so far today. You'd think with 6 runs you might have more guys getting two or more hits than, but really it's Kerr leading the effort.
This one just catches the outside corner. Jack Blomgren did not agree. He was starting to walk down to first base and take his walk, but the count's going to be full.
Yeah, if he had totally crossed home plate before he accepted the fact that he was going to have to come back and face another pitch.
It's about the third time Eric Lovelace has done that to a batter in the last couple innings. There's now the payoff pitch here. to Blomgren. It's roped down the right field line. This one's hooking near the foul line. Running over is Bednar, and he jumps, tries to make a play over into the stands, but isn't going to get there as the Little League team scrambles. Oh, two of them overran the row that it was in, and the third guy there comes up with it.
The early bird does not get the worm in that case.
As the count's going to remain 3-2 on Jack Blomgren.
If I was in this game right now, if Michigan scored a couple more runs, I would just start aiming for that there and just try to see the chaos as the Little League team.
Trying to foul balls off over that way.
Just to see how the Little League team reacts.
Just stay back on the ball and shoot it that direction.
Absolutely.
3-2 again to Blomgren. It's the ground ball up the middle, base hit. Blomgren drives in another run here. RBI single. Wogu touches the plate. Michigan now has a commanding 7-2 lead, their largest lead of the ball game.
And with that RBI, Blomgren is going to inch a little bit closer to 300 on the season. That would be an impressive mark for him if he can get there. 297 going into that one. I don't think that's going to bring him up, but
It could come close there.
yeah, it'll bring him
Depending
real
on rounding,
close.
probably.
Yeah. Maybe we can give him some favorable rounding. 291.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see when it comes up in just a second here.
Oh, it's 301.
There you go. Pops up 301. Jack Blomgren over 300 on the season as of right now after struggling to hit over 200 really last season until the very end of the year. Jimmy Kerr, 3 for 4 today at the plate for Michigan. Breaking ball down and in near his feet. It's now 1-0 on the big Wolverine first baseman, who's certainly doing his part to extend his season at least one more game, if not longer. Hit the ball hard a few times. All 3 of his singles to right field, I believe, as he watches one miss just outside. It's now 2-0. Should Kerr reach base and continue his hitting, Miles Lewis will get his 5th shot at the plate today. Lewis is 1 for 3 in the ball game. 2-0 pitch to Kerr, fastball called, strike 1.
So Heine gets back into this count, 2-1 now. Doesn't want to walk. It was a 3-1 count, but he ended up, it was a hit that drove home the RBI. My bad.
Jimmy Kerr did not swing at the first pitch just at bat, by the way.
Yeah.
It was a ball. All 3 of his hits today have been on the first pitch. He swings and misses here. A 2-1 pitch comes up empty on a big one, and now it's 2-2.
So maybe that 4th hit ship has already set sail with the fact that he
it's
did
not.
not.
First pitch didn't result in a hit, so yeah, we're not looking for a 4th one.
Got to pray to get hit by the ball or get walked.
His only out today was a ground out to his counterpart at first, Costas. Blomgren going on the pitches. Kerr lines one towards right center field, ranging over his Bednar. He'll make the grab in the gap. Another hard hit ball for Jimmy Kerr, but does not have anything to show for it in this inning. The Wolverines do have something to show for this inning, though. They score 1 run on 2 hits, no errors. They do leave a man on base, but they'll head to the bottom of the 8th, feeling pretty good about themselves. They're up 7-2 over the Maryland Terrapins. You're listening to the official student radio broadcast of Michigan baseball here on WCBN Sports.
And that breaks the 2 runs at a time theory that we proposed earlier. Should this score hold, was it really worth it for the Wolverines to get that 1 run? And
Was it really worth it here to ruin a nice pattern?
Yeah, get Jordan Wogu his 2nd run. He's padded his stat. Well, he's been the hero enough. He doesn't need any stat padding.
Yeah, he's been pretty good.
Yep. We got Simba Cam right now. It looks like that's what they're doing here on the big screen, spinning the wheel of movies.
Oh, we're getting the Simba Cam here.
I wonder if Disney paid for that with
I highly doubt it, but they've been spinning that wheel for every game. You get a different camera for every game. I know last night, the one I paid attention to, you're watching a little bit of Ohio State, Maryland, was the bad or awkward dad dance cam.
Really? Okay.
And they just showed awkward dads up there doing the dances because, they love the camera. Let's get real here.
Oh, yeah. Well,
they just went for the Simba Cam and the kid ran away.
Oh no. Yeah, I mean, but this is movie themed. They had Titanic Cam. I didn't catch what the others were.
By far the best camera we've had so far is the Gotcha Cam. Okay. They did it between games. They focused in on someone who's on their phone.
Oh, okay.
And waited till they looked up.
Yeah.
It took 1:45, and then someone finally just gave in and was like, "Yo, man, you're on the video board." And everyone booed him for saying, "Oh, why'd you tap him?"
Well, if it's between games, it's not like they've got an inning to start.
Exactly, they're just sitting there watching him. Whatever.
Yeah, well, that's one of the upsides of WCBN Sports. We're commercial free. You get these tidbits. I didn't know about that because I wasn't at the stadium.
Yeah, for those of you that can't make it out, they're not going to show you this on Big Ten Network. They're going to tell you about the Simba Cam and tell you about the Gotcha Cam. No, we talk about Dwayne doing a great job, by the way. Shout out to Dwayne, the TD Ameritrade Park host for this entire week. He's doing a fantastic job. Taylor Wright, meanwhile, for Maryland, is going to step up and lead off here in the bottom of the 8th. Takes the first pitch from Isaiah Page outside. The count is 1-0 on the shortstop, or rather the third baseman for the Terrapins. He takes another pitch outside and brings the count to 2-0. Wright so far on the day is 0 for 3, ground out, fly out, strikeout. Only missing the pop out, I think, maybe a foul out in there. Trying to think of all the different ways you can technically make an out. 2-0 pitch to him, fastball called, strike at the belt. Now the count is 2-1. Wright himself is a senior from Vancouver, British Columbia. Went to Windsor Secondary School before coming to Colorado Northwestern and then eventually Maryland. Took a long journey to get here, wants to prolong his career as well as he fouls it off to the left side out of play, and it's 2-2.
And that ball was caught by a seat, wedges perfectly in between the folding seat and just kind of hangs there in the chair impressively, but yeah.
I'll be impressed when the chair catches it in the cup holder.
I guess that's the equivalent of holding a beer and then catching the ball too.
Then you can remove that seat and put it in the Hall of Fame. This one is skied high towards the left side. Miles Lewis takes a second to see it in the sun. Now ranges over near the line, near the wall, and makes the grab while slamming up into the wall. What a grab. Miles Lewis sacrificing his body for the play and does not lose his hat, which is normally a Miles Lewis staple. He gets the out here to start the 8th. He gets a rounding rouse of applause. Hats off in the dugout from Eric Bakich, Michael Berdar, and others.
And the wall might have actually helped him there. He might have been able to pin that ball against the wall to make that catch because he was sprinting over there to get there. And very impressive catch. You can't really get a good replay because the wall is in the way, but that might be the last at bat for the senior who took a very long journey to get almost from the West Coast to almost the East Coast.
Almost got there. Maxwell Costas, the first baseman, takes the first pitch outside. Joe Donovan tried to frame it, bounced off his glove, and got away. Count is 1-0. Costas 1 for 3 on the ball game today. Fly out, single, ground out in his 3 at-bats. All 3 of those came against Tommy Henry. His first look at Isaiah Page here. The 1-0 is fouled to the left side past his third base coach and up against the wall. The count's going to go to 1-1 as Miles Lewis, I think, is going to beat the Maryland player from the dugout to get to that ball and toss it into the stands.
And at this point, it'll be a victory for Maryland. Even if they leave runners on base, they're desperately trying to get back to the top of that lineup. They've got 5 outs to work with here, and they've got to get through 6 batters to get there, to get to A.J. Lee.
Really, once you get to the top of that lineup, get some batters on for A.J. Lee is probably what they want to do at this point.
Definitely.
All 4 times he came to the plate, including leading off the ball game, been with nobody on. This one's hit high and deep towards left field. Going back is Lewis near the track, near the wall. And that ball is gone into the Michigan bullpen. Solo home run, Maxwell Costas. He makes it a 1-swing ball game, technically. It's 7-3 now in favor of the Wolverines.
Well, we sold the rest of the Maryland lineup short. Said it was their job to survive and get A.J. Lee up to that. Costas with the second homer of the day for the Terrapins, or either squad. 7-3 now. Yeah, 1-swing game, and now they've got 5 outs to work with and 5 outs until they get to A.J. Lee. So Lee, the senior, might have one more at-bat left in his career if he can get any more help from his teammates. As that ball gets a little bit too shy to get to Section 125. There are about 5 fans there in the outfield waiting for it, so going to do some work here for the Omaha Chamber of Commerce and mention that there were fans waiting in 125 just sitting there.
This is a rope into right field on the first pitch for Michael Pinheiro. Bullock will field out there and toss it in. It'll be another single here, second straight hit for the Terrapins left fielder.
And there you go with that single. Unless we see a double play here with the next at bat, A.J. Lee will have another at bat in his career.
I believe we've got a couple arms in the Michigan bullpen, and I think it's going to be the last of Isaiah Page's day is that single from Michael Pinheiro. That home run, by the way, for Maxwell Costas, his 15th of the year in his freshman season. RBI number 49 leads the Terrapins in home runs, second in RBIs. An impressive showing. Him and Randy Bednar are going to make a dynamic duo over the next few seasons in College Park, as it will be the end of Isaiah Page's day. Benjamin Kaiser is making his way out from the mound to the, or rather out from the bullpen mound to the mound at the middle of the field. Kaiser pitched against Illinois in yesterday's ballgame. I'll get you his final line in just a second here. I want to make sure I get the numbers right. As Isaiah Page gets a hand here from the Wolverine faithful and some high fives from the dugout. Honestly, one of Page's least impressive outings over the last month or so, but still did enough for the Wolverines. Got through an inning and a third, ate up a good chunk of batters, which is kind of what you want here in this tournament. You just kind of got to get through without using up everybody in your bullpen.
And retired Lee, Bednar, and Wright.
Exactly. Retired the best part of this Michigan lineup. Well, not Lee, but he got through Lee. Stranded Lee at the very least.
Yeah.
But still.
Yeah, he did his job to make sure that Lee did not score. So, yeah.
There you go. We'll count that.
Yeah,
So.
sacrificed 0 runs to the 3 best batters. Now the fourth he did surrender a home run to a very exciting freshman who should be making noise here in Omaha for the next 3 seasons too. And he's doing his work to make sure that he's not done yet. Might have more games to play this season.
Justin Vogt will be the first hitter that Kaiser faces. Kaiser did come in yesterday's ball game against Illinois. Threw just 15 pitches, faced just 3 batters. It was a hit, a walk, and a strikeout. The 3 things that happened on his day. He is responsible for that 4th run of Illinois that gave them the lead, although, to be honest with you, a little bit unlucky there. It was walked in by Willie Weiss later on after he conceded the job, did Kaiser to Weiss in that inning. And that single, a ground ball that a couple inches over and probably was a double play ball to end the inning that he was in. Just been that way for Benjamin Kaiser over the last few weeks, getting ground balls, just not at the right guys or at the right spots on the infield. So we'll see if Kaiser can maybe get a ground ball here and get out of the inning. He is more of a ground ball specialist for the Wolverines. His numbers on the season overall, he's pitched in 27 ball games, officially got 1 start. He's 4-0, 3.63 ERA with a save, 34 and 2/3 innings pitched, 37 strikeouts, 15 walks. Batters hit .202 against the junior left-hander out of Portage, Michigan. Redshirt junior fires first pitch. It's hit high in the air towards left center field. Miles Lewis didn't see it at first. Now he sees it in the sun. He camps under it in front of the Big Ten logo. Makes the grab and fires in to keep Pinero scampering back to first base for out number 2.
Well done there, and I mean he really got under that ball, but just too much under. That went way high and gave Lewis a good amount of time to locate it, get under it. But with that out, not what Maryland was looking for. However, they do guarantee that A.J. Lee will have at least one more at bat as a Terrapin. Josh
McGuire comes up with 2 outs here. Runner on first. Lefty-lefty matchup in the 8th. First pitch to him is a ground ball towards the left side. Diving stop by Blake Nelson. Gets up, throws to second in time to make the play. Heck of a play by Blake Nelson to get out of the 8th inning. And we'll head to the 9th with the solo home run. Maryland makes it a little bit closer, but Michigan still leads 7-3. You're listening to the official student radio broadcast for Michigan baseball here on WCBN Sports.
Gets his jersey dirty, but all worth it to end the inning and get Michigan now 3 outs away from victory. They still only have a 1-swing lead. It could one more insurance run could go a long way to shore this thing up.
At least making you feel good about it.
For sure. And of course, when you're the team pitching in the bottom of the 9th, you never really know when you're going to be done for this season. Illinois learned that lesson the hard way. Just not that extra level of security knowing that the game will end on your terms. So we'll see if Michigan can extend that lead at all. They've done a good job just finding their groove again on offense. For the first 15 innings here in Omaha, they had 1 run. Not a recipe for success by any stretch of the imagination. Now they have scored 5. Let me do some math. Been out of school for 2 weeks now and already forgot.
Already losing in the math.
3 weeks, yeah. But 12 runs across the past 10 innings, I believe.
Yeah, they didn't score
11.
till I believe the 7th yesterday. So
scored
yeah,
3 runs, then 2 in the 9th. That's 5
yeah,
and 3.
eight today. He got 2 innings, or rather 3 innings there, so 11 innings.
Yeah, 11 innings and 12 runs across it. So
Right.
more than a run an inning now after averaging less than a 10th per inning. So
And technically didn't even finish that 9th inning. Could have scored more in that
Sure,
9th inning
yeah.
as well. So the offense appears to have awoken for the Michigan Wolverines, and we've talked a lot about those seniors wanting to keep their careers alive and possibly playing for the last time. Maryland's got one right here coming into the ball game. The right-handed closer out of the bullpen, John Murphy, the senior out of Merchantville, New Jersey, coming in for the 27th time this season, possibly the final time of his Maryland career, should things not go as planned for the Terps in the bottom of the 9th inning. 3.62 ERA on the season for the senior, 1-1 record, 11 saves, blows away everybody else on the Terrapin roster. Pitched 32 and 1/3 innings, 52 strikeouts, big-time strikeout stuff for Murphy. Just 17 walks, 270 batting average against. He'll get the 6, 7, and 8 hitters in the Michigan lineup. Miles Lewis, Joe Donovan, Blake Nelson to start things off here in the top of the 9th inning. Maryland looking to stay down by just 4. Michigan looking to stretch that lead out just a little bit more and feel better going into the bottom of the 9th. Lewis steps up to the plate here. He's 1 for 3 in the ball game today. In order, his plate appearances: walk, strikeout, single, and flyout. Murphy works out of the stretch, or rather works out of the windup from the first base side of the rubber. First pitch, righty-righty, breaking ball called, strike 1. A lot of powerful righties, tall righties out of this Maryland bullpen. John Murphy, 6'4", 240. Almost all of them seem to have really good breaking balls. A 1 pitch, there's that breaking ball of Miles Lewis. Barely gets a piece of and taps near the Maryland dugout. It's now 0-2.
Lewis getting behind in this count early. We'll see what he can do to try to salvage this at-bat for the senior, who probably will have at least one more game in him.
Murphy stares in, winds up, 0-2 pitch. Fouled off to the right side. That'll get up out of play. The count is 0-2 still. Lewis on the season hasn't let off a ton of innings, but when he does, he hits 377. Almost feels more composed starting off an inning than he does the rest of the time he's at the plate, batting just 272 overall. He lines one towards left center field. Ranging in is the center fielder, making a diving grab is Alain out there. What a grab for Chris Alain. The sophomore center fielder lays out to rob Miles Lewis of a leadoff single. There's 1 out in the top of the 9th.
Yep, that was exactly what I guess Lewis is comfortable with, and Alain had to make a athletic move there to rob him of improving that leadoff batting average. I mean, that's an interesting stat. He is over 100 out of 1,000 batting points as a leadoff hitter for some reason.
Joe Donovan takes a first pitch breaking ball right at the knees. It's 0-1 on him from Murphy. Donovan's day, again, in order: walk, strikeout, flyout, RBI, single in the 7th. Takes a breaking ball here, and it's now 1-1. Looks like Murphy really has 2 different types of breaking balls. Admittedly, we don't have a huge advanced scouting report on everybody on the Maryland roster, but we kind of go by what we see. It looks like that big looping breaking ball from Murphy. He also has what looks like a slider. That's a fastball there that misses outside and goes to 2-1.
Yeah, not as much research on your bulletin board that you've got.
I got my bulletin board up there. It's mostly just your basics, your stats, your names, hometowns, the things that you can say to fill time, you know. 2-1 pitch, line towards left center field by Donovan, ranging over towards left field and making a diving grab. No, he drops it. Does the left fielder Pinero. Donovan's hustling. He's booking it for second. He slides in safely with what should be a double, and it is.
And a heads-up decision there. If he had hesitated for a second, then that likely would have been a better throw with the more time to think about it, and he would have gotten tagged out at second. So heads up for Joe Donovan. He wanted that double. He got it, and is now the second Michigan batter to have multiple hits in this game, and will, in all likelihood, give Nelson, who is going to get another at-bat, and Akeo Thomas another at-bat here in case something were to go tragically wrong in the 9th inning and secure them more at-bats in their careers.
Murphy comes set, ready for his first pitch to Blake Nelson here. Fastball call, strike on the outside corner. It's 0-1, and oddly enough, that the dive from Pinero, because he didn't make the grab, probably cost Maryland a base there in terms of keeping Donovan to a single. Puts him in scoring position, erases a double play ball chance, although Murphy's MO really isn't getting double play balls. It's striking guys out, so it really doesn't matter who's on what base. He hops ahead here 0-1 against Nelson. Senior against senior, righty against righty, working from that right-hand side of the mound. Murphy comes set, and out of the stretch, the 0-1. Breaking ball hit in the air towards left center field. Going back is Pinero. He is not going to have room. That's going to get all the way to the wall. Donovan comes around to score. Blake Nelson cruises into second. Stand-up double. RBI double. Michigan has their 5-run lead back. It's 8-3.
Two-swing game now.
Two-swing game indeed. As that is a huge insurance run there. Just when Maryland might have had a little bit of life back last inning after the RBI single. You felt like there might have been creeping the way back into it. And the home run, or rather the home run in the 8th, my mistake. It felt like they might have reinvigorated that dugout a little bit. Wolverines immediately strike back with 1. They've scored 8 runs in this ballgame, which seems absolutely insane based on what they did on Wednesday. Getting
Absolutely.
1 hit and stranding 9.
And now they have 11 hits, but also 11 runners left on base. They finally caught up to the runners left on base.
K.O. Thomas watches a ball that misses low. It's 1-0 on him.
Interesting, too, how all 3 batters so far this inning hit the ball to roughly the same part of the outfield. And then with varying levels of success each time, with Nelson getting the deepest into the outfield of the 3 and earning that RBI double.
Thomas 0 for 3 today and a sac bunt. Watches one that almost hits him in the hands. He spins out of the way. There's a full 360 in the batter's box. He's ahead in the count 2-0.
Looks like a couple of Michigan batters are going to get their 6th chance to step up to the plate today.
At the very least.
Unless something really strange happened here with like flying out and tagging back at second. Wogu will get his 6th at-bat of the day. Potentially Franklin as well.
Thomas had a good position to hit here, up 2-0. Saw Donovan rope that double in the left center on a 2-1 pitch ahead in the count. Meanwhile, Nelson's was on an 0-1. Doesn't really matter what point in the count. These Wolverines are locked in at this point. And Eric Backus mentioned it during his press conference. They have a good offense. Rather, after the game yesterday to BTN on the interview. Going on the pitch now and trying to steal third. Getting into third on the called strike is Blake Nelson. He is still perfect on the year. That makes him 14 for 14.
Yep, it looks like Vogt, the catcher, not even interested in throwing to third there. Nelson got such a big lead off there, and now K.O. Thomas can potentially have a sac fly to make this a 6-run game, although when you're a senior and you're up 5.
He wants to rope a double down the left field line. That's what he wants to do. That one gets down there. He might stop at first. He gets around. No, he is going to go for second. The throw there from Pinero is not in time. RBI double of K.O. Thomas. Michigan pouring it on in the 9th. They've scored 9. It's 9-3.
Well, if you thought he was going to be selfless and not try to have fun 10 seconds ago when he was a senior and up 5, now he's a senior and up 6 there. Of course he's going to second.
Nick Hornburn and I have talked over the last few days about how I'm always telling guys to go to second on plays like that, and half of it's in jest, but hey, right there, go for it. You get that RBI double. As you said, you're up 5. Go for it there. You're driving in a run anyway.
And with that hit, Michigan will probably end this game with at least as many hits as runners left on base. Thankfully not entering that territory of more left on base than hits. That looked really unlikely they were going to be able to catch up a few innings ago, but the bats have come alive here. And also, all 8 batters who will play this whole game are going to wind up with a hit.
We can't end this game on a run rule, technically.
Yeah.
Because Maryland does get to bat in the bottom of the 9th. We saw the game before us, Iowa and Nebraska, end an 11-1 run rule in the bottom of the 8th. Run rule is in effect here at the Big Ten tournament. It's 10 runs after the 7th inning, or rather, after the 7th inning or 7th inning or later, depending on what team you are. As Jordan Wogu is going to get, as you mentioned, his 6th time at the plate today. Watches one miss down and away. Ball 1, it is 1-0. Every person in the starting lineup besides Jordan Brewer with a hit today.
Yep, the 3 spot being the only one not to produce a run or a hit so far today for the Wolverines.
Only 2 spots without a run scored, or 3 spots now. K.O. Thomas does not have a run scored yet. As Wogu watches one catch the knees there in the strike zone. It's 1-1. Brewer, that 3 spot, Brewer Bullock doesn't have a run scored. Miles Lewis doesn't have a run scored yet today. Might have gotten robbed of it there with that diving grab. Maybe could have scored after all these doubles, the 3 straight doubles in this inning. And then K.O. Thomas, who's out there in scoring position now, hasn't come across the plate yet today. Jordan Wogu will be looking to change that as he rips one down the right field line. It's hooking near that right field line. It is Bednar making the grab in foul territory, tagging up as a K.O. Thomas. He'll get to third base easily, But a nice grab there from Bednar going right up against that side wall to record out number 2.
And most importantly, we were robbed of seeing the Little League team scatter again. That was maybe 2 feet away from landing in the seats, and that probably would have been caught immediately by a Little Leaguer, so maybe not all the fun of seeing them chase the wild goose chase for the ball.
I think you're giving those Little Leaguers too much credit. They don't have any gloves on over there.
Yeah, that's true. They were
A couple of them do.
They were applauding the outfielder for making the catch. I did notice. So good spirits, not too greedy for a ball, but as a group they've got one so far, I think, today.
I think we need to get one of them on our podcast. Just ask him, talk to him a little bit. Jesse Franklin steps in, takes the first pitch, strike at the knees. Go ahead, Daniel.
I bet we could pull. I remember back in Wisconsin 2 years ago. We got a 10-year-old playing one of the Pee Wee games during the first intermission.
We did. We got a couple of them, I think, got to say a couple words. When I say a couple words, I literally mean a couple words. That's all they said. Because this one, when Franklin is fouled off to the right side and bounced off the Michigan dugout, tossed to a fan in the stands by our first base coach, Michael Berdar, over there.
What a broadcast throwback there. Not to toot my own horn there, but that maybe had 15, 20 listeners to that random road hockey game that we called.
He's famous. He's famous.
The Pee Wee, the Pee Wee hockey players that we got onto that call.
0-2 count here, 2 outs, top of the ninth for Jesse Franklin. Breaking ball, line down the right field line. Bednar's going back near the track, near the wall. That ball is off the wall. Bednar slams into the wall. Jesse Franklin's going to cruise into second with a stand-up double. RBI double. Surprise, that's the theme of the inning here. Akeo Thomas finally scores a run. Michigan has hit double digits. It's 10-3 Wolverines.
And the run rule getting a little bit more... it's just peeping its head around the corner.
Technically can't. You have to finish the inning because Maryland's the home team.
Okay, all right. So.
But, if we get to 13-3, I think Maryland almost would be okay with the run rule at that point.
Yeah. But more insurance. They've got an expensive policy right now, the Wolverines. With a 7-run.
They're really cashing in on that insurance policy. They just hope they carry this offense over tomorrow morning at this point.
Well, they don't want to cash in on that insurance. That would be
fair enough.
That would require a 7-run. At least 9th inning. Maybe Christian Bullock can make all 9 slots of the batting order produce a hit.
Bullock fouls it back to the screen on the first pitch he sees from John Murphy, and Murphy's final outing as a senior not going quite the way he wanted after a line out to start things, a diving stab by the center fielder Aline, 3 straight doubles, a fly out to right, and then another double. 3 runs have come across to score. Christian Bullock at the plate now. His second time today. He flew out to center on his lone at-bat. He takes a breaking ball off the plate outside. It's 1-1.
Also maybe worth noting that Blomgren has to risk that 300 batting average if he's up to that again. He's in the batter's circle.
I mean, he's going to have to risk it tomorrow morning at this pace, barring, again, a catastrophic bottom of the 9th inning. We have seen crazier things happen in baseball, but Michigan's got to feel pretty good as Bullock fouls another one back to the screen. Is now down in the count 0-2. This is kind of where Bullock's gotten in trouble, why he was phased out of the starting lineup a bit. He does have issues with striking out, has some holes in his swing, notably down and in. If I was taking a guess here, I'd say Murphy's going to give him that breaking ball down and in. Something Christian Bullock's been working on but hasn't quite mastered yet. We'll see if he'll have to do that next year as a senior when he presumably will step into increased playing time. He's ready for a 1-2 pitch from Murphy. It's on its way. It's a high and outside. Looked like a changeup perhaps, and it's 2-2. They don't keep the miles an hour or the radar gun up on the screen long enough for me to double check my guessing on what pitch it is. Just looking at it from down up in our booth here. They flashed up there for maybe a second. Either way, John Murphy coming set and ready for a 2-2 pitch to Bullock on its way. Fastball, swing and a miss, strike 3. Foul it back into the glove of Vogt, rather. But it is a strikeout. Murphy gets his first and only strikeout of that inning. But Michigan really tacks on a bunch there in the 9th inning. They score 3 runs on 4 hits. No errors for the Terps, and Michigan left 1 on base. We'll head to the bottom of the ninth. Michigan with a commanding 10-3 lead over the Maryland Terrapins. You're listening to the official student radio broadcast for Michigan baseball here on WCBN Sports.
And it does look like Benjamin Kaiser of the Wolverines is going to be tasked with the duty of protecting a 7-run lead. Pretty good work if you can get it. However, you got to finish the job, otherwise you're in hot water.
Kaiser Came in last inning in the 8th, threw 2 pitches, got 2 outs. So pretty good so far.
Yeah, I call that efficient.
And if he's able to keep that pace up, I'd imagine he'd be available for tomorrow as well.
Yeah, getting only five pitches in on the day, that's pretty good wear and tear.
We're getting a replay now of that Miles Lewis catch. He literally grabbed that inches from the wall. That's their play of the game they're throwing up here. Gets a nice hand from the Michigan fans as he's jogging out towards left field right now. Not sure if they knew that he knew that he was being shown on the scoreboard. Did cut the hair, though. That's a little disappointing. Used to love seeing. Maybe that's why his hat didn't fall off. He cut the hair. It wasn't pushing it off his head.
Yeah.
Didn't even think about that.
Yeah, it could be a tighter fit now that there's no hair in the way, I guess. Yeah, interesting. That's the hard-hitting journalism we have.
See, that's what we're here for. We bring you the DTI, the Daniel Thompson Index, the Miles Lewis Hair Index, MLHI. We're just going to create a whole bunch of abbreviations and only do a broadcast abbreviations.
We're going to reference all these ones tomorrow on the call. And
yes,
anyone
so
who
make sure you tune in tomorrow.
Yeah.
It'll be bright and early. You're going to be really, really slap happy in the morning. We're going to reference all of these, I'm sure.
10 a.m. Eastern time at least for...
Well, you guys got 10 a.m. We got 9 a.m. here in Central Time Zone. Benjamin Kaiser's going to have to face 8-9-1. The 4th time today that Cowles has come up to the plate. 4th time he has led off an inning. The 3rd different Wolverine pitcher he has faced. He's 0 for 3, strikeout, flyout, ground out. Takes a first pitch low for ball 1 that gets back to the screen. The freshman from Newark, New York, grounds a 1-hopper tube jack Blomgren. Blomgren fields, throws to first in time for out number 1. And man, Kaiser really had to work that at bat 2 pitches as opposed to 1 in each of the first 2 that he faced.
Yeah, really strung him out there, but he can still get out of the inning maybe with only 6 pitches of wear and tear done.
Right. We'll see if he can keep the quick at-bats going. He does throw the strikes, and you can really afford to throw strikes here when you're up by 7 runs. Just pound the strikes zone, make them put it in play, and trust your fielders, which has been almost impeccable all week long here in Omaha. First pitch fastball just off the plate away. It's 1-0. Says it clocked in at 43 miles an hour. That one was not 43 miles an hour, I can tell you that much. I'm not that off with my diagnosing of pitches, I can say that. Kaiser comes set, works on the first base side of the rubber, and swinging and a miss there at a fastball. 88, that's more like it. And now it's 1-1. Chris Aline is the batter. He popped out and has since struck out twice. Once against Henry and once against the first reliever for Michigan, Isaiah Page. It was one of 2 Page strikeouts in his outing. This 1-1 pitch is fouled back to the screen, and now it is 1-2. Aline will try to avoid the hat trick.
Yeah, that would be an unfortunate way to end the season. The sophomore, he'll be back, but...
He had a great grab out in center field. Kind of wishes he could probably end on that. This one is a ball, misses low and away from Kaiser.
Might as well just ask Coach, can you put someone else in? I want to finish. I want to finish the year with that diving catch.
I want it to be my last time touching a ball for this season.
Yeah.
Well, given the competitive spirit, I'm sure he wants to get up there, get it.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Try to reverse his fortunes for the day. Kaiser comes set, lefty to righty, 2-2 pitch. Ground ball towards short, 2-hopper. Blomgren fields on the backhand, throws over to first accurately and in time for out number 2 in the bottom of the 9th. So far, so good for Kaiser.
But here's where it gets tricky. A.J. Lee, 3 for 4 on the day. I'm going to make a wild guess here and say this will not be the last batter of the day, as Michigan is 1 out away.
I'm going to go with a not as wild guess. This is probably A.J. Lee's last at-bat as a Maryland Terrapin. And honestly, as someone that has seen him over the last couple of years, granted Michigan and Maryland have kind of avoided each other a bit during Big Ten play. A stellar player, someone that the Big Ten can hang their hats on as being a proud member of the Big Ten Conference. If I'm not mistaken here, he's on the all Big Ten teams, or at least very well should be the all Big Ten 3rd team. Takes a first pitch strike from Kaiser. Very worthy of that honor. Great 4 years here as a Terrapin, and as you said, their best hitter in this lineup. 0-1 pitch to him. Misses down and in, it's 1-1. It's guys like A.J. Lee that really don't get the recognition you get on a national scale that you see out of the seniors that stick around and some of the bigger programs, the SEC programs, the ACC programs, the ones in the Big 12 programs, for example. Guys that kind of just keep a program like Maryland chugging along as he swings and misses here. It's 1-2. Maryland down to their final strike.
Yeah, certainly has been a workhorse here for the past 4 years for Maryland. And, 314 batter, has been a great player in the Big Ten Conference. Probably will be in his final college game, maybe his final college swing. Nope.
That one misses down and away. It's 2-2. Michigan faithful rising to their feet behind the Michigan dugout. The slow clap beginning. Players joining in and the dugout on that top step. 2-2 pitch. Popped up towards the right side. Giving chase to Jimmy Kerr. He's over near foul ground and does not have room as that gets into the camera well. The counts remain 2-2, and A.J. Lee stays alive for at least one more pitch in his college career.
Yeah, I don't know if a player up by 7 is willing to make that sacrifice to end the game.
I feel like Jimmy Kerr definitely would be, given the way he plays this ball game. Top it all off.
That's true, but the business decision right there might have been wise.
Slow clap again. Another 2-2 offering from Kaiser to Lee. Misses high and away, ball 3. Should Lee reach base, Randy Bednar looms on the on-deck circle. He who has drove in 2 of the 3 Maryland runs on the long 2-run home run back in the 5th inning. Gonna have a payoff pitch here between Kaiser and Lee. Kaiser comes set at the chest. The delivery. Hit in the air towards deep left field. Miles Lewis going back near the track, near the wall. That ball is gone into the bullpen. A.J. Lee finishes off his college career most likely in style with a solo home run, his 4th hit of the ball game today. Have a day, A.J. Lee, unfortunately for the Terrapins. Most likely coming in a losses now. It is 10-4, still in favor of the Wolverines.
Good for him, though. Talk about ending on a high note. Got down 0-2 in that count. Is going to wind up 4 for 5 on the day. Gets an RBI, 2, plus 2 runs scored. Does a worthy performance from a guy who has really been the heart and soul for Maryland baseball for this season and 4 really great years within this conference. Carried the Big Ten flag well.
That will give Randy Bednar another at-bat in this ball game and in this season. At least one more at-bat for the Terps. Again, not out of the question. 6-run ball game, but 2 outs in the 9th. But then crazy things happen in baseball. There is no timer. You can't run out the clock. First pitch called. Strike to Bednar. It's 0-1. As mentioned, Bednar 1 for 3 today. That won the long 2-run home run. He gets way ahead of an off-speed pitch from Kaiser, and he's down in the count now 0-2. Trying to avoid striking out for the 2nd time today.
And how many pitches does that bring Kaiser up to today?
After that swing and miss there, that's 18 pitches from Kaiser.
Okay.
He's over what he threw yesterday. Might not be available for tomorrow morning, but we'll see about tomorrow night as the 19th pitch for him. Swing and a miss and a ball in the dirt. Donovan Fields throws down to first, and Michigan staves off elimination yet again. They beat the Maryland Terrapins 10-4 here on day 3 of the Big Ten baseball tournament.
Congrats to the Wolverines. Got down early. It looked like this season might be over for them soon, but they have kept fighting, kept Austin Falco's time with WCBN alive. Great story for them so far with that walk-off double yesterday, plus that 3-run 7th inning to really breathe life into this team, and they're playing like a new team. They're going to have to face a real juggernaut right now, the Nebraska Cornhuskers. They dropped 2 out of 3 to them a week ago. We're supposed to have played a game Saturday, had to play a doubleheader on Friday because of weather concerns. So now they will be facing off 8 days after their doubleheader that they split. It will be interesting to see which Nebraska team shows up, which Michigan team shows up. The Huskers are debatably the hottest team in the Big Ten over the past couple weeks.
I think that kind of goes without question right now. The Huskers easily, at least here in Omaha, have played like the best team at this tournament. Second was probably Iowa, and they absolutely demolished the Hawkeyes earlier today behind a packed crowd. Now Iowa has to turn around and play right after this one. But we're wrapping up today's ball game, at least between Michigan and Maryland. Final line score, Michigan 10 runs on 13 hits. No errors in the ball game. They left 11 men on base. Maryland 4 runs on 9 hits. 1 error. They left 7 on base. I think that's pretty much going to do it here for us at TD Ameritrade Park. Final score again, Michigan 10, Maryland 4. We will have a bit of a post-game podcast for you as we've been doing for the last couple of days at the Big Ten tournament. Michigan just keeps giving us another podcast to do. staving off elimination once more. As Daniel mentioned, they do face the Nebraska Cornhuskers bright and early tomorrow morning. It will be a 10 a.m. Eastern Time start. First pitch will be brought to you right here on WCBN Sports. Make sure you follow us here on YouTube and on Twitter at WCBN Sports for any updates on the game. Find the links to the game, and you can tune in to hear Michigan see if they can prolong their season at least one more game till tomorrow night and possibly into the title game on Sunday. As I said, that's going to do it here. Any final thoughts, Daniel, before we sign off?
The Bats are alive over the past 12 innings. That's now 15 runs. That's how you win games.
That is indeed how you win ball games here if you're the Michigan Wolverines. 10-4 win over Maryland. I'm Austin Falco. For Daniel Thompson, for Nick Hornberg. We'll see you tomorrow morning at TD Ameritrade Park here in Omaha. Good night for now, and go blue.